allowing the pushing of ball carriers, but banning the pulling of them. They thought pulling was more dangerous than pushing. Whatever. For the most part, the NFL coaches ignored this rule and figured, you know what? No pulling or pushing. We're just not gonna. That's not how we're gonna gain an advantage. Give the Eagles a lot of credit. They saw, some of the specific, skill sets of a quarterback, Jalen Hurts, meaning he was a power lifter back in the day, also a dual threat quarterback, and they figured, hey, you know what? We got a Hall of Fame center, and our quarterback has really strong legs. We could add 2 to 3 players behind him, grabbing one butt cheek each, and just full steam ahead. And we really hadn't seen it because the NFL had banned it for a while. But, you're talking about, nearly 20 years of this potentially being an advantage, and nobody's really taken advantage of it except the Eagles this season. And it led to them having, I think they converted 36 of 40 quarterback sneaks this year. Really, there's no way to stop it. Sometimes they get like 2-3 yards on the damn thing, and when they try to just get one, with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, and then the Hall of Fame center in front of him too. If it wasn't a Hall of Fame center, I don't think they would have such a unique advantage. But because the Hall of Fame center, and you got Jalen Hurts, a power lifter who is also playing quarterback, that doesn't happen all the time. And then you add, their little unique conceptual schematic advantage was, now the players behind them, we're going to ask them just grab a butt cheek, man, and we're just going to go. And they're going to push ahead. We'll have the center or the O-line in front of him. We'll have 2 guys pushing behind him, and then he's still got enough power. And there you go. And it really was one of their main advantages this season. Now the NFL and the competition committee, they're expected to take a hard look at the tush push. Hurts 10 rushing first downs in the Super Bowl, and 6 of them were quarterback sneaks. It became like a big story because people had been watching. People who didn't watch football like, man, that's weird. That's going on. That's a weird little thing we've never seen before. Been happening all season for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we talked about it even on this show. So now they're saying potentially, and this is Dean Blandino, who now works with, he's a rules analyst for Fox Sports, but remember he used to be an NFL official. Now he's one of the innovation and officiating execs or administrators over with the XFL too. Man's got a lot of different jobs. And he said that he was talking to Sean Payton, who just got the job with the Denver Broncos, and Sean Payton said, oh man, that that we're going to do this every time next season if they don't take it out. NFL's a copycat league. Hell, it's aggressive mimicking at this point. Every team's going to try to do it. So he's already saying he's going to try to do it, and I guarantee there'll be some other teams saying, oh, you know what, that's what we're going to do too. Now, does the NFL view this as positive or negative? That's the question. Dean Blandino thinks the NFL is going to ban it. He says it amounts to a rugby scrum. The NFL wants to showcase the athleticism and the skill of our athletes. This is just not a skillful play. This is just a tactic that is not aesthetically pleasing, and I think the competition committee is going to look at it. He also says, if you remember, on field goals and extra points, they used to be able to push the defensive lineman into the formation, and you would find the weak link on the offensive line, and then you would have their legs interlocked, and you would get the 2 and sometimes 3 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers all pushing into that player, and they got rid of that. So he's saying, Patrick, basically that they've already banned a certain concept that is very similar to the tush push, and the competition committee basically has, now they got 3 options. They can either ban it altogether, they can say it's banned on quarterback sneaks specifically, just can't do it on that play, all right, which is basically the same thing as banning it, or they can decide, you know what, we're just gonna leave it alone. We'll let it lie for now, and then we'll see if it catches on. If it becomes a problem, then we'll address it. But for now, it's only really one team that's doing it. But Sean Payton's already said, I'm doing it. And he won't be the only one. There are a lot of people. I even hypothesized years ago they would have a specific position just built for this, like a Tim Tebow was going to basically, his career would deteriorate to being a short yardage weapon, a 2-point conversion weapon, and he would just be doing this.
Yeah,
every
remember,
damn time.
it was. I mean, there was the 18-wheeler package for
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was the Belldozer in Oklahoma.
Yeah, swoops, there it is.
Yeah, there was. I mean, like this is done in college enough where
Yeah.
it's like, hey, we have a guy that's specifically for it. I'm surprised they don't have more running backs that have a little bit of an arm where you're like, let's run this play 20 times. On play 21, we throw it over the top, and they do not have anyone lined up there.
That's fair.
And it's an automatic touchdown.
Yeah, the Eagles should have done it.
Yeah, I don't get why they
Yeah,
because the
why
whole
you
point of
pop
it being
pass it?
more dangerous as a quarterback sneak is that you have your quarterback and you can jump back and throw the ball. That's the whole reason it's more dangerous as a quarterback sneak because you can line up a running back under center and do it,
Yeah.
and
No,
line up a fullback or line
you
up
really
whoever.
could.
And I don't know why more people don't do that because you're like, well, yeah, you can do that, and then they're more likely to not expect and just line up all like, hey man, substitute right before it so they can sub in all their linebackers and defensive ends, like maybe have one safety on the field, and basically then you step back and throw the ball. But I don't know why the Eagles didn't do that in the Super Bowl. That seems like the time to do it.
It did. They
Maybe that
talk about
last
breaking
drive.
tendency.
Maybe that last drive was supposed to be the one they never got.
Maybe, yeah, he saved it. He might have. That's probably why he's like tormented now. I should have saved it. Damn.
But yeah, I mean, that to me is like if they don't outlaw it, then you have to. Then other teams go, well, if I want it outlawed, then I have to do it.
I know.
And then the more of us who do it, then they'll be like, all right, now there's a problem because people just keep lining up in this way.
Frank Reich did it for a while. He did it with Jacoby Brissett
Yeah.
for a few years, and I thought he was going to do it with Sam Ellinger when they drafted him, and they never got around to it really.
Yeah, I mean, I
been a
see
disaster.
eventually they'll come out and go, we don't like the head-to-head collision because now you can say that as a
Oh yeah,
to automatically stop it.
player
Is
safety.
You player safety, but like normally you're like player safety. This just seems like someone's going to get hurt. But if you go, well, yeah, but they're all hitting their heads in the middle. That's probably not a play we want to have. You can get away with it. But I mean, they don't want punts either. And if this means, hey, we're not punting the ball,
That's true, man.
I
It
don't
do
have
keeps
as much of a
drives
problem.
alive.
I just think other teams need to adopt it, and then then it's not so much a one-sided advantage. If you have, I mean, and most of these teams are like, just get a fullback running back that is a lifter and has enough of an arm, enough of arm range and motion that he could technically be a throwing threat.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw San Francisco has Christian McCaffrey, who almost had to come in and play quarterback. So you go, okay, this Christian McCaffrey's a guy that we're going to stick in there, and then we're going to stick our fullback and Deebo Samuel behind him, and they're going to push him up the middle.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it is going to catch on, actually. I mean, Sean Payton's already telling you he's going to do it. It's going to catch on. I wonder if it'll become so specific as to what, I talked about with Tim Tebow or Sam Ellinger or, what Frank Reich did. And teams will decide, no, actually, we like it so much that in those short yardage situations, we're going to just bring in a running back that can basically be the wildcat back in that situation.
Yeah.
And then we're going to use the same tactic of the tush push. But, if they deem player safety, all they got to do is use player safety, and they can pretty much do whatever
you
they
can
want to.
you can even take it as, hey, man, we're going to line up with our quarterback and then shift to have – and just he's never going to line up under center, and then we'll just have the center the tight end come under center and have the quarterback run out, and then if they don't guard the quarterback, you can throw to the quarterback. Or you can just push the tight end up the middle.
Which has happened. Actually, remember Sark has a play where he snuck Kate Brewer a couple of times.
Yeah.
Remember that? You saw that play?
Yeah, that's what it happens way more in college football.
Yeah.
They just don't push as much, but they use more of those
Who does?
sneaks and different people in it,
Yeah.
and they put different people in to do that. That seems like what it's going to be if they don't ban it, and maybe that's why more teams want to ban it because they're like, look, this is about to be out of control.
And the NFL doesn't want that. They want to score points and they want to keep drives alive, but they don't want to do it by reverting back to old rugby football.
Well,
and
what they
scrums.
really don't want is teams doing that on 3rd and 4th down.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
they don't
you'll
want
get
it to be like, hey, man, it's 1st down, 4-yard gain, 2nd down, 3-yard gain, 3rd down, push up the middle, 4th down, push up the middle. All right, 1st down, 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
Because that's not fun to watch either. So you want them to take shots for 3 downs, and I think they could be worried that, hey, man, people, if they're within 3 yards, are just going to do this twice and think they're always going to get 3 yards. 'Cause
The
they will.
NFL wants them to throw the football, so that's why I could see them doing it. But it's to me, it's a little unfair for the competition committee to step in and decide to rule it out just because a team like Philadelphia found a loophole in your rule book, and it's not really even a loophole. You decided that this was fair play, and now the Eagles have basically found a way to weaponize it, and you want to take it away from them because other teams are complaining that they can't stop it.
No, I mean,
it's something that they can't stop. And it kind of reminds me of the Sugar Huddle. For those who don't know the story of the Sugar Huddle, for Sam Weish, who is passed away, I believe, Sam Weish, when he was the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, the NFL had a very similar complaint about the Sugar Huddle, which ended up becoming the No Huddle offense. Marv Levy, this is actually a true story. When he was playing the Bills, they were playing the Bengals in the AFC title game. I believe this is the 1988 season. And he's complaining to the Toledo Blade, I believe, 4 days before the game. And he says, when you break the huddle, and I know he's not huddling, so maybe it's hazy, they are not to come out with 12 to 13 players on the field. Levy thought the Bengals basically were cheating and skirting the rules, which, I mean, it was not something that the NFL had banned. It was within the rules at the time. And 2 hours before the AFC title game, he complained so much the NFL office, the league office, called the Bengals and told them that if they went no huddle, they would penalize them 15 yards every time. That's a true story. Sam Weish told Sports Illustrated later after the game, the heck with them. We play by their rules and we beat them anyway. End up beating them 21-10. The Shakespearean irony of the whole damn thing is that Marv Levy ended up adopting the no-huddle offense and turning it into the K-gun and went to 4 straight Super Bowls by running the same damn offense and deciding, you know what, you can't beat them, join them. It was the West Coast offense on cocaine. Because Sam Weish was a West Coast guy. And turns out later they found out that it actually was Paul Brown, the Bengals owner at the time, who he basically threatened to expose the NFL. Here's the story. I know it's crazy. He said, his quote, I immediately told the NFL delegate along with the referee who was in the office there with me. This is now Bengals owner Mike Brown. I said, go get Pete Rozelle on the phone right now because I want to tell him that he's interfering with the competitive balance of this game. And if we get penalized and lose this ball game, the first thing I'm bringing up in the press conference is this conversation. And there are a lot of gamblers out there who aren't going to be very happy. Yeah. That's crazy. So the NFL has stepped in to try to adjust competitive balance before, but I don't know. I think they could do it because they got player safety now on their side. But the truth is, it'd be the same thing they were basically kind of doing with the Sugar Huddle. They decided a lot of teams just didn't like it because they weren't ready for it and they complained about it a ton.
Yeah.
And and obviously now it's commonplace, but at the time it was something that was kind of groundbreaking. And the same thing with what the Eagles are doing. It really was a huge advantage for them. It was first downs. Well, yeah, I mean that keeps drives alive.
No, and I mean I think too old school defensive people are pretty pissed off of how much people are going for it on 4th down in general, because the 4th down conversion rates are way higher than anybody thought they would ever be.
That's true.
If someone were to be playing like that, so if you're saying, hey man, we're already not thrilled that they're going for it on 4th down so much as defensive coaches, and then you throw in the fact that they have a cheat code to keep getting it on 4th and short
every time.
So we have to now play 4 downs of football, and on the first 3 we have to keep them but like further than 2 yards away. So we have to We have to basically in 3 downs keep them to 6 to 7 yards.
Yeah,
that's just really really hard to do, and I can get why you can be frustrated, but you're like, well, then you have to be better. This is how football works.
And exactly, because do you know what the actual conversion rate of quarterback rushes in short yardage, 1 to 3 yards, since 2015? 78%. So even quarterbacks doing quarterback sneaks the old-fashioned way, they were still converting 78% of the time. I'm talking about just the old-fashioned. Hell, yeah. Tom Brady famously was at a ridiculously high rate because he's like the GOAT of quarterback sneaks too. He was just really, really good at it. And I just think that some quarterbacks are good at it, and it's a really high conversion. It's probably the most successful conversion tactic for short yardage in the history of football anyway. They just supercharged it.
Well, yeah, and that's the Eagles part is different.
And it was unique to Jalen Hurts and Jason Kelce.
You normally wouldn't do it over a yard.
Yeah.
Like if you were inside of a yard, you would do that quarterback sneak, but outside of it, you would never try it because you're like, all right, we're going to get a yard at most. And they're doing it from a yard and a half, 2 yards back. And so that's why it's a big difference, because now it's not like, hey, man, we held them to 3rd and inches, and then they're going for it on 4th. We get that.
Yeah.
We held them to 3rd and it's 3rd and 2.
3rd and 2, and they're like, all right, quarterback sneak time.
Yeah, like, or 4th and 2, and they're like, they're going for it. That's crazy.
It is. No, it is. It's like I said, I hope they don't. I hope they just let it lay for one more season and see if it catches on, and other teams other than Sean Payton start doing, and it becomes a problem. If it becomes a problem for the entertainment value of the game, I totally get it. Then just ban it and then move on, and teams will move on too. It's not gonna hurt the game at all. But I just think it's really cool. They found a loophole. I think it's cool when coaches find loopholes.
I will say,
they give them a lot of credit for studying stuff.
A texter brought up a good point though. That is the second push, and it's not so much that it's even the second push, but there is difficulty spotting the ball on those when it's a scrum and you don't see where the person is and everything gets moved. And then you go, well, that is forward progress. So the guy only really has to get there for a second and then gets shoved back. But
it's true.
If you get a second push.
Hey.
So they may have to clarify the rules to the officials of when do you stop it and how long do you let the play go on those. I think that could be your change. Like, hey, man, when you do this, you only have X amount of seconds to do it. Like, once you hit that scrum, we're going to blow the whistles pretty quick. So we're not going to let you keep pushing and keep pushing.
Yeah, I guess so.
I think that's a more fair, instead of just disallowing it at all, be like, no, you get one push, but we're not giving you 3 pushes on it.
But then they'll just start grabbing a butt cheek earlier.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree.
It'll be just one initial push.
I agree. But if you want to talk about player safety and all that stuff, that will probably happen 4 seconds in, 5 seconds as opposed to in the very beginning when you're trying to make that last push and someone's legs caught underneath it.
No, you're right. And they were asking Dean Blandino why they initially banned it in the first place. He said because refs weren't calling it. They didn't call it.
Yeah, well,
so they weren't enforcing it anyway, and now you're going to change the rule, and now I guess you're going to ask them to enforce it. But, it's, to me, I don't know, until it becomes a problem. It's not a problem.
No, I mean, there's
not a problem.
Before this, there was one play I remember that was a big problem, and it was because it was USC Notre Dame, and it was the Bush push.
The Bush push, yeah.
And that's
exactly.
but that's the one that you can think of all the times where people are really mad about it. It's the Bush push, and other than that.
But the NFL, what they do know, and this is what they're scared of, they know it's a copycat league.
Yeah.
Aggressive mimicry, so they know it's a copycat. So they know teams are going to do it, and you already have Sean Payton on record saying that he's going to do it too.
Yeah. If you're the NFL and you want higher scoring games and less punts,
that's it.
Then I don't know why you're mad about this.
It's great.
That seems like you should be on board fully for this.
I'll tell you, my wife had an interesting theory because she works in marketing. And I was talking to her about this because I was just trying to come up with takes, and it's good to bounce ideas off. And she's like, oh, yeah, they want the commercial breaks, though. I didn't think about it. I'm not a marketing mind. And she's like, oh, yeah, they need the commercial breaks.
Yeah.
She places ads.
No, it was funny.
I was like, oh, that's a great. She was like, so they can't have too much of this conversion. I was like, no, they got to, because then they can't predict the commercial breaks. They become unpredictable. Usually they can predict it like, all right, guys, we're getting it's third and 8 here, out 3rd and 9. They can predict them. It makes them really tough to predict, and it's hard to place them all. I never thought about that. And I was like, damn.
That's a good point. TV-wise, yeah.
TV-wise, I'm not.
Yeah, I know we had a funny one at the basketball game on Saturday that because Texas winning by so much, they hadn't gone to the extra timeout that you get for another commercial break. And at the end of the game, Rodney Carey calls the timeout just to get the substitutions in. He wanted to get in the walk-ons, right?
Yeah.
Or they're not even walk-ons, but they get in the last guys. They clear the bench. And so he just does it. But normally when you do that, you just go roll the clock. Like we don't need a timeout. I'm just stopping gameplay to get a substitution.
Of course.
And so he does it, and then they're like, okay. And then one of the refs like, no, TV wants his timeout. So we are taking a timeout here.
Exactly.
So it was a weird thing with like a minute left in a blowout that they had to call a timeout because TV was like, no, this is on ESPN. We're putting it on the timeout. We
got some spots here that need to be played. They've paid big money.
Yeah.
No, I've been on the football field as a player. It's like, no, hold up, son. We got TV timeout here. Yeah. I'm like, oh, no, who took the timeout? No, TV took a damn timeout.
You're looking for that guy in the big orange glove or whatever it is.
Yeah, so I never thought about it, but that is a reality. All right, we wanted to get to the Eric Bieniemy story, so we got time to do that. Matter of fact, next segment, I want to talk about this Eric Bieniemy story because I think it's pretty big. All the reports are that his time at Kansas City is nearing its end. Is that he's going to take that Washington job? He basically interviewed yesterday, and the interview went so well that they're interviewing again today and working out details about him becoming the next OC with the Washington Commanders. This is an interesting story, so I want to get into it a little bit. We'll talk about it. It's been a long time. He still can't get a head coaching job. This is just him taking it's not even a sideways step. It's a backward step.
It's a backward step.
He's got to take a backward step. And sometimes, you got to have the minor setback for the major comeback. That's what exactly he's hoping happens with the Washington Commanders. So we'll get into that. There's some Cowboys news, notes, and nuggets we also have to address. We're going to have All-Star preview and XFL preview coming up in the 4 o'clock. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday. We play jams from very talented human beings that you have a chance to listen to live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Madam Radar. They're playing tonight over at Saxon Pub.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Oh, I like this.
Yeah, they're really talented.
What a nice jam.
Jace and Kelly are a married couple. Jace is singing right there. Kelly plays guitar. She's a main guitar player. Violet, Cody. Good band there.
Man, it's all 512 Friday, man. Always broadening our horizons about how much talent is actually here in the ATX. It's a blessing for all of us. So my man Patrick always gets those posted. If you miss any of those suggestions or selections, go to hornfm.com. Okay, so the other big story in the NFL is that Ian Rappaport is reporting. That always feels weird when I have to say that. Ian Rappaport reports that Washington and Eric Bieniemy are working towards a deal. Essentially, right now, they're working out particulars, coaching staff, salary, that kind of stuff. And I've been saying this for a while. And he would be the new play caller and the OC there, if that's the case. He's at this time, I think, 53 years old. And every guy out there listening can relate to this. I don't know if ladies can relate to this as much, but maybe they can. So I'm not saying they can't. Every man wants to avoid the friend zone when they were single, or if you're still single. Patrick is single. He's tried to avoid the friend zone his entire life. Now, sometimes you can't avoid it. You end up in the friend zone. And the friend zone is different. Like, and when you get older, you have, obviously, female friends. But if you're trying to be romantic with someone and they place you in the friend zone, it's the worst possible thing that can happen.
Yeah, if you're let's phrase it, because I do have many female friends that you're like,
but
because
that's
you get older. No, it's when you're with somebody and you're like, I'm only hanging out with you because I wanted to be with you.
I wanted to date you, and you think I just want to be friends.
Yeah, but
that's,
our personality, like, we don't like any of the same stuff.
No,
we don't. There's no reason I'm watching movies I don't want to watch.
We wouldn't be friends if not for me. Wanting to date you.
That is the friend zone.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. No, there's nothing wrong with having friends of the opposite sex. That's awesome. You should have friends of the opposite sex. But when you want to date someone, well, even of the same sex, you know what? 21st century, baby. Yeah. All right? You should be put in the friend zone. And nobody wants to be put in the friend zone with somebody they want to date. Period. All right? And I've been there before. I'm sure people listening have been in the friend zone before. It's really hard to get out of the friend zone once you're there. I pulled it off a couple of times, but it's really tough to get out of the friend. Once you're in the friend zone, and the reason there's always the same kind of clue that you're in the friend zone is when she or he, whatever, starts talking to you about other people that they want to date. They start talking to you about, oh, I really want to date this person. I've been texting them. They won't text me. I'm like, whoa. Hey, don't be talking to me about people you want to date because I want to date you.
Yeah.
What's going on there? That's how you know, oh, man, red alert, you're in the friend zone. You didn't even know it. You thought you were coming over there to hang out, to Netflix and chill, talking about, no. No, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
You just going to watch Netflix.
This one,
that's it. No chilling.
You send the text message and you go, hey, girl, what you doing tonight? And she goes, hey, buddy. Ooh, all right, we're in the friend zone.
You're in the friend zone, all right? And the agony of it is that you're actually closer to that person than the people they want to date. They give you more access than any of those other people, but you're still there in purgatory. You're stuck, all right? And like I said, for Eric Bieniemy, he's closer than ever before, and he's never been considered. And that's the agony of the friend zone. You're never considered. They want to date all these other people. They're looking around for. You're like, hey, look right here. What? I'm the guy. Like, what are you looking around for? You're hanging out with me. I should be the one that's considered. That's Eric Bieniemy. He's looking around. He's like, he's in the friend zone of coaching. Nobody wants to give him a shot. He's like, hey, I'm right here. You're looking for the number one offense? Oh yeah, you're looking for the guy that's coached the best quarterback. Me. That's me. And they never look at you. No consideration.
You want a guy that makes money? I just won the Super Bowl.
I just won the Super Bowl. Nobody wants it. And I think to him, the moment, basically, Patrick, where he realized finally that he was in the friend zone, that moment that they start talking to you about people they're dating, is when both of the coordinators he outcoached in the Super Bowl both got head coaching jobs. Yep. And he went, oh, I'm in the friend zone.
Hey, they didn't even call me.
They both?
They didn't call me.
They both. I outcoached both. Oh, okay.
I got told they may consider me for offensive coordinator. That is what I got told. What?
What's going on here? I did the research, Patrick. He's been on 17 interviews with 16 teams, half the league.
Who interviewed him twice?
No, 16 teams.
So 17 interviews. So one of them
17
got,
interviews.
so he got one interview.
Yeah, he
with
did give
somebody
it.
else.
I don't know who the
Somebody got him.
I didn't get that. Somebody did interview him twice. I don't know who that
All right,
was.
you know what? Thumbs up to you guys.
I don't remember who that team was. I can go back and do a deep dive on that. But yeah, I mean, so for him. I'm glad that he's finally saw it. I knew he was in the friend zone. I told you guys 2 years ago. I said he's in the friend zone, man. He's got to get the hell out of there. I've seen enough guys in the friend zone. I see him walking around downtown sometimes or at dinner. And they're like, oh, that dude's in the friend zone. He doesn't even know it. He doesn't know it. I know it. I can see it on the outside looking in. You're in the friend zone. You don't think you are, but you are. You're in the friend zone. And that was Eric Bieniemy. I knew he was in the friend zone, and he's nowhere too. That's why he's got to take a backward step. It's not a sideways step. He's going from being the offensive coordinator with the best offense, with the best quarterback in the best team in the NFL, to now having to be the play caller for the Washington Commanders. And some people would say, well, you ain't calling plays. I did the research on guys who got jobs without calling plays. Man, that's a long list. Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, Zach Taylor, Frank Reich, Nick Sirianni, Andy Reid is one of those two. That's a miseducated and probably the most miseducated BS reason as to why he shouldn't get a job, because he's not calling plays. And even Andy Reid says he does call plays. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's doing it. If it happens, I think it is going to happen. He should do it. It needs to happen. Matt Nagy is the top choice to be the replacement for Eric Bieniemy with the Kansas City Chiefs, to replace him. Yeah. He's been, basically since Patrick Mahomes got the starting job, Eric Bieniemy's been the offensive coordinator there. And he was with Andy Reid before that since 2013. I think as a running backs coach before that, but then became the offensive coordinator. And usually, offensive coordinator of a team that's a really great offense, great quarterback, and a team that wins the Super Bowl, you can write your own ticket. He hasn't been able to write that ticket. And some people say it's I think every reason's been debunked. Some people say he's not a good interview. I don't know if he's a good interview, but that means people really don't have evidence that he's not a good interview either. I don't know where that's either coming from.
No, because we've heard coaches and coordinators that you're like, oh, I can see why. I see why this guy maybe is not getting head coaching jobs.
Yeah.
You hear them at press conferences, or they have zero press conferences. Like the coaches try and hide them. Head coaches will try and hide guys like that.
Lou Anarumo's like that. I want to see more of him, but I don't see.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely been hidden, because I've tried to find interviews, and I've only found a couple.
It's tough.
And he sounds fine in them.
I agree.
But there's only a couple. So I don't know if they gave him more prep on it and he doesn't like it, whatever that is. But Eric Bieniemy, like Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid and the staff have worked with him to get him better at it. I think they've tried to put him in more press conferences and everything else in recent years to show him off more, because Andy Reid really does want him to go on and succeed. And so you've seen them, like, he does probably more press conferences than any coordinator in football. In the NFL.
Yeah.
Just because they're really trying to be like,
I believe that.
hey, man, look, this is like, you can't tell me this guy can't talk, because we're preparing him. We're trying to prepare him to be a head coach because we know how good he is.
Yep.
And we know he did have legal problems when he was a young man. None of them were that bad. I think the worst thing is I think he got a DUI. I think he did when he was young.
Yes, he did.
So, but all the other stuff, none of it's really that bad. It's nothing where there's nothing domestic violence. There's nothing that's a hate crime. There's nothing terrible in there.
No, he had okay, so I wouldn't track these two because I'm with you. I wanted to say, okay, what's in his past?
Because this is the argument you hear from people that go, well, he was arrested like 5 times, so he can't be a coach. Like,
He did. He has his license suspended in 1991 and had like some repeated infractions there. He was banned from the campus at one point because he got into it with a parking attendant.
Yeah.
Which, even though, unfortunately, we've seen the clash between athletics and parking, and even here at Texas. He had a DUI in 2001, as you mentioned. and he was one of the coaches when they had the sexual assault scandal there, where the players, so he's one of the coaches there, I should say, at that time. So he was on the staff.
Yeah.
So some people were like, "Hey, what, how much did he know about what was going on there?" And that, so yeah, and I by the way, all those things should be taken seriously.
Yeah.
We're not saying they should not be a part of the vetting process. But hell, man, I remember when Matt Patricia was being hired. I'm not trying to bring up dirt about anybody because everybody's got their dirt and their skeletons in their closet. But I'm just trying to bring up Matt Patricia got a job, and I remember when he got the job, the Lions mentioned that because it was kind of the cancel culture at the time, and people kept bringing up that he had a sexual assault allegation against him. He had sexual assault charges from 1996 that were ultimately dismissed in 1997. And obviously I'm not getting into the details of it. I'm not, and if you want to send those, I'm not getting into details of it. That's not what I'm talking about. My point is the Lions decided we vetted him and it's all good.
Yeah.
So saying just someone has baggage is also not a reason that we've seen, just looking at precedent, for a team to totally dismiss a coach as a candidate, because that's pretty serious baggage. But, everybody's got their baggage. I'm just saying they still decided, no, we're going to go with Matt Patricia. We vetted it, and it's all good. You can vet these particular instances with Eric Bieniemy too and maybe decide it's all good.
Yeah, so I'll state that out there because I know we'll get people to text us every time about it. He's been arrested 5 times. Honestly, I think you should judge everything by a cover. If you're on one side of cancel culture or the other, there's a lot of gray area, and judging anything by, well, this is this, so I think it's silly. So I get those parts. I think if you look at how this league is and how many things that are overlooked in pro sports and in the NFL because they want to overlook them for wins, I don't get why Eric Bieniemy is not getting further along in these searches to where it comes out and they go, hey, we can't hire this guy because of his past. Then to go
it'd be nice to know if that's the reason.
If that's the reason,
okay.
Or you want to, but if you're just going to say, oh no, we think this other guy is going to bring us a better chance to win a championship, and then you fire him in 2 weeks, like if you thought Nathaniel Hackett was a better choice,
that's fair.
That doesn't make sense to me because we see what he has been able to do in Kansas City, and for him not to be able to get a shot at some of these clubs, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to succeed. I'm just saying.
No, I think you should get a shot. I think much more undeserving people have gotten shots.
Yeah.
At head coach, and that's why it's more frustrating.
He deserves a shot to fail miserably.
And so, look, this is why. But back to the point, why you're excited to see him go to Washington is because you're like, look, man, this is a big process. This is not a hey, man, you walk in and you don't even know if your quarterback's really the guy you have in there. You have Sam Howell. You have Heineke still probably.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to list Carson Wentz.
It's the ultimate test for him.
But you may try and draft somebody. You may try and sign a Derek Carr, or you may try and sign a Jimmy Garoppolo. You may try and sign somebody like that. But any of those options are not guaranteed playoffs.
The Derek Carr, they got good receivers in Washington.
They almost made the playoffs this year.
Yeah, so
with multiple wide receivers,
Derek Carr,
multiple quarterbacks.
And that D-line's going to be one of the best D-lines in the NFL.
Yeah. And, I mean, if we look at what Brian Robinson did last year at running back before he got shot.
Even after he got shot.
No, even after. But
he got shot. Right? Did he play after he got shot?
No, he came back. Like, he was in practice facility like 2 days later.
Dude. Yeah, he played like 50 cents.
If you see what he did, like, you have a lot of pieces already on that team. But if you can go in there and turn it around from where they just look like they didn't have an identity this year to finding them an identity, finding them what to do, then at that point, you can't. No one's coming out and saying Ron Rivera did it, right?
No. And honestly, I think Ron Rivera's bringing him in because, hey, this is a quid pro quo. You help me, I'm going to help you because I need somebody to help me bring along this offense. He's a defensive-minded guy.
No, and I think Dan Snyder in running this team, basically trying to sell it, knows, hey, man, let me go try and make a swing at the fence for this guy, and if he can build it, then I'm going to make another $1 billion.
Yeah.
Because if we're winning,
You're right. Straight cash.
Selling
only.
a playoff team is a lot easier to sell.
No doubt about it. All right, so that news is expected to drop at least later on today or this weekend. If it doesn't happen, I think everybody's going to be surprised, maybe even shocked as to what went down, and maybe then we'll get some clarity on why he doesn't get these jobs. If something happens now, this far into it, we get some type of about face, and maybe we'll find out exactly why teams have stayed away from Eric Bieniemy, if that's going to be the case. All right, we come back. We'll get into the flex on the other side, right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday, which means we play jams from local bands and artists, very talented human beings who you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is the Memphis Strange, and they're playing Saturday at Sagebrush.
Oh, I like that. Memphis Strange. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever, well, okay, I was going to say something, but I'm not going into there. I thought about that one. I was like, you know what? Nope, that's not even worth it. It's a Friday. I'm not even going to get myself.
Don't get
not
yourself
worth
in trouble.
Get myself in trouble on a Friday. Nope. But thank you, Patrick. There you go. Memphis Strange. You can always catch all these selections of 512 Friday. Go to hornfm.com in case you missed any of them. Also, it is time for the Flex. FLXATX.com. FLXATX on all of your social media platforms. Go check it out. Lots of great content up there for you as well. They do have the replay of the Wednesday night Flex. Is on the Flex website. You can go check that out. Did have Coach Salazar on with him. Brody Bueno, the defender from Hutto, was on with him, and I heard a lot of those cuts and interviews. Did a really good job. So shout out to my man Zach and Nolan and Cameron, who did a really good job with the Flex Show. But go to FLXATX.com, FLXATX on all of your social media platforms to get in on the know on all of the high school action happening here in Central Texas. Also, they got your high school hoops outlook as well. You can go check that out for all of your weekend action coming up. All right. Let's get to the NBA All-Star. Speaking of hoops, get to our NBA All-Star Weekend preview coming up here in the top of the four. Also, we'll talk about the XFL. That's why it's a Football Friday. XFL is still happening. So, yes, again, another reincarnation of the XFL. I think this is the third version.
I think it's the second actual. No, it is the third.
It is the third version,
because
right?
it was Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon announced The Rock.
Yeah, so they take because Vince had two shots at it.
Vince
then The
had
Rock
two,
took over.
but then COVID hit. Did the COVID season ever actually happen, though? Or was it just
I
announced and it got canceled?
I think it is. This is crazy. It's crazy
Yeah, in fact,
enough
I don't
because of
remember
COVID.
at all.
I think it did happen because there was another, it was AAL, like the Alliance of American
and then
Football.
there's USFL's back.
That was so that now the USFL is back. I believe it did happen. I'm not sure it finished. I believe it started.
Okay, so they played like a game.
They started. Because I don't know. I don't know if the I don't think the AAF actually finished either.
No, I know the AAF. That was the one because that was.
And you're right. I think a lot of it was
the
COVID.
AAF
and all that
was
stuff.
the guy who had worked with Vince McMahon on the original XFL and had done everything. I can't remember his name, but from NBC Sports.
Yes, I have it in my notes. Actually, you're right. It's been so long.
Is it Ebersol? Is it Dick Ebersol?
Yeah, it's his. It's like
it's his son started it.
Yeah, it's like Nick. Is it Nick and Dick?
But he started the other XFL, and then or the AFF.
Yeah.
He started the other AF, and it didn't work.
He rushed the AAF
To beat the XFL.
Yes, but not only to beat the XFL, there were promises that were made about a gambling app that would allow you to gamble real time on the action. That never came to fruition. That also led to a lot of tension among the investors.
I see.
Is when I researched it too.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was supposed to be one of the cutting edge things that would keep it afloat. This new gambling app on the cutting edge of, or at least the new landscape of sports betting in this country, which now we are in a new landscape. So they're right about that part. They just couldn't get the technology.
Trying to rush things out, man.
And you're trying to beat the XFL, and they probably should have waited till they got the gambling app or whatever, the technology, and then decided that's the way we're going to separate from the XFL. But either way, it's really hard for any of these leagues to make it. But The Rock is behind this one, and I mean, how could it go wrong with The Rock? It's The Rock, man. So we'll smell what The Rock is cooking when we come back. We'll talk about that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. It is the weekend, and as soon as I get off work, I want to start the weekend the right way with a little Hot Cat tequila. That's right, my favorite new tequila. The cat stands for cinnamon, agave, and tequila, and the recipe is just simple and brilliant and delicious. Just cinnamon, agave, and tequila. That's why it's so light and so smooth. It's a tequila lover's dream, and if you're not a fan of tequila, hey, after you have Hot Cat tequila, I guarantee you'll be a fan of this tequila. It'll turn any event into a party, and every party feels like a celebration. So celebrate and turn up with Hot Cat tequila. And once you try Hot Cat, you can't go back to that old cinnamon whiskey or that cheap tequila you were ordering rounds of when you were just trying to get the party started. So turn up your party with Hot Cat tequila. No football watch party is complete. No, even XFL football watch parties or USFL football watch parties. No watch party for any sport is complete without Hot Cat tequila. Perfect way to pregame for all the big games, concerts, festivals, or a night on the town with family and friends. It's best served cold for a quick round of shots or to sip on the rocks. So visit cattequila.com to find a store near you that sells Hot Cat tequila or to find a bar near you that serves Hot Cat tequila. Toast and turn up with Hot Cat tequila. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn, 512 Friday. Ooh, man, I got to tell you, I think you've had all bangers so far.
You've been enjoying them so far? It's
Yeah,
good.
who is this?
This is Akina Adderley.
Wow, I'm right.
She's very talented. She's done backup vocals for a lot of names around town and names nationally. Amazing singer though. This is a single, "Home Before Dark" from Akina Adderley.
Okay, yeah,
and she's playing tonight at Geraldine's.
Man, that's fantastic. I love the jam. What's the name of the jam again?
Home Before Dark.
Home Before Dark. Okay, yeah, I wrote the name down. I'm going to look that one up. Well done. All right, my man Patrick, always broadening our horizons. Go to hornfm.com if you missed any of the selections because, man, he's doing a great job. Always does a great job, but particularly today, doing a really, really good job with 512 Friday. All right, we'll talk about NBA All-Star Weekend. We'll give you a preview of NBA All-Star Weekend. Get into that. Also, XFL is also previewing this weekend, too. Specs text line 512-337-3776. Shout out to my man Nate, who reminds me, Specs text line, that you know whose 60th birthday it is. He says Larry the Cable Guy. That's funny, really funny. It's MJ's 60th birthday, the GOAT. Yeah. Actually, Jim Brown. Isn't it Jim Brown's birthday too today?
They both share the birthday?
I think I saw Jim Brown has a birthday. I don't know where that randomly came up. I saw that somewhere. I wouldn't just spit it out there. Maybe I'm off by a day or two. Maybe it was yesterday or something like that. But it's Jim Brown.
No, Jim Brown's birthday.
Jim Brown birthday too, right?
February 17th.
Jim Brown and MJ, same day. Yeah.
Jim Brown, famous actor from Mars Attacks. Just love to give out weird credits for people.
But yeah, he was one of the first athlete turned actors.
Yeah.
Right there, because it wasn't commonplace. I'm sure that it was done. I'm sure there were cameos and stuff, but he actually wanted to try to act.
No, because he was very famous, and there was more money in acting at that time than there was in football.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm killing myself to play football.
Yeah.
You know, I can go over here, and these guys, I'll go do it. Also, commentator on UFC 1.
What?
He was one of the commentators on UFC 1, the first ever UFC pay-per-view.
That is a random factoid right there, bro.
Man, if you've never gone back, it's on ESPN Plus. All those old UFCs, they are bonkers. Because it is before MMA was like MMA. So it's just guys, and like the rules are different. So they just kick people in the head and stuff. It's insane. Like a guy just goes down and they just kick him in the head 4 times. Like, yeah, stop the fight.
Yeah,
it is. And they'll be like, this guy's like a sumo wrestler versus.
Yeah, because back then they weren't underground, but they weren't mainstream.
No,
so
not at all.
Back then, mainstream, they're like, oh man, everything goes. It was more. They were selling the blood. They were selling the violence.
MMA wasn't MMA. There wasn't all these gyms and fighters who were all trained.
He weren't trained.
It was Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie and.
I remember like the Street Fighters were coming in. I remember that the Street Fighter movement.
So there was like some jiu-jitsu guys and then some fighters, but it was. Man. Yeah, it was that. Yeah, go back. But Jim Brown, one of the announcers on that.
That's something I'd never heard of before. Okay, so yeah, MJ's birthday is just look at this texter. LeBron's birthday? Question mark. I thought you said the GOAT. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll always have that discussion going forward. But right now, I still think MJ's the GOAT. LeBron's got to do something else, in my opinion. Yeah. He did just become the all-time leading scorer. He just did something else. But he's got to do something else, like championship-wise.
I could still play like another 4 or 5 years, and that's the thing is he could win some more titles.
And break more records.
If he won the title this year and the next 5 and then retired, people still be like, Michael. You're like, this guy won 5 in a row. There's some people you're never going to beat, but he's also not going to do that.
I love me some LeBron. At this point, I'm not there yet, but I hope by the end of LeBron's career, I'm at the point where I got to with Tupac and Biggie, where I just decided it's a preference. They're both great.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. And
I'm lucky that I've watched both of their careers a lot.
Exactly.
I've loved watching both their careers.
That's kind of how I feel. And we love MJ. We love MJ. So that's your point about is well stated about. I don't know if LeBron could ever do anything because of the nostalgia effect and where MJ is in the kind of the all-time legacy of the league and also of this generation of basketball fans. We love him so much. He once wore a Hitler stash
No one
on
said
a Hanes
no
commercial,
one said anything.
and we just let it ride.
Hey man, he has been one of the worst owners in basketball for years, and we're just like, MJ, you're gonna get him next year.
Yeah, nobody even brings it up. Like, nah, don't worry about that. Nah, it's okay. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, it's he wore the Hitler stash. It happened, and MJ is. I'm telling you, he's aware enough. He's not just some unaware person. He understands the impact he has on pop culture.
Yeah,
and the Hitler stash has been, it's been pretty much banned for I don't know how long now. Are we talking about?
Since World War II?
Exactly.
Because Charlie Chaplin was pre. Charlie
Chaplin was, his tramp, his character, the tramp, had the Hitler stash. What they call the toothbrush. I think it was a toothbrush. Is it toothbrush stash?
Yeah, it's a Hitler stash. Look, it's been the Hitler stash.
It's a Hitler stash.
Way before me.
Yeah, but it was fashionable before Hitler.
Yeah.
But Hitler is such a despicable, disgusting, horrible person that even anything that he fashioned must also be banned and canceled, which we're all on board for, except for MJ in that Hanes commercial, which means nobody in production, nobody
you know
in
what?
the
I
crew,
think it's even better. I think it's so
nobody told him.
So there's two
hey,
things.
Hitler stash, man, you can't do it.
This is now. I'm on board now with anytime Michael does anything like this. You're like, he had a bet. That dude had a bet with somebody where he was like, "I'll bet you $5 million I can get a Hitler mustache, and they'll play I'll walk into this Hanes commercial I'm doing tomorrow, and they'll put it on there."
Honestly, now that we've seen that documentary, I
believe
it. I believe that's a
Charles Barkley's like, I got to work at TNT for 10 more years now.
The Last Dance, honestly, adds a lot of credibility to that theory.
Yeah, after The Last Dance, I think everything.
Yeah.
My buddy sent me an article about when someone stole his jersey and they had to wear a number 12 for like a game. And you're just like, yeah, we're number 12. I guarantee that's a bet. These are all bets.
Dude, it's got to be.
Hey, man, I'll tell them they stole my jersey. I'll be able to wear another jersey during the game. They're like, you can't wear another number, Michael. You're 23. So it comes in at 12. They're like, I guess I owe Michael a bunch of money.
I'm serious. What year did the Hitler? I mean, I guess we can't. What year did the Michael Jordan Hitler stash commercial take place? It was in the early middle 2000s.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere
around there.
Yeah.
So, man, come on. You aware of what the Hitler stash is?
Oh yeah.
Back then, you can't do that, MJ.
I'm telling you, he won a bunch of money on that bet.
And the Hanes people just let it ride. Aired the commercial like, oh, America's going to accept it because it's Michael Jordan in Hitler stash. No.
He's bringing it back.
No, he ain't bringing it back. No, nobody's ever bringing that back. It's done. It's over. It's a Hitler stash forever. And if you wear it, people are going to look at you like, man, what is wrong with you? Why are you doing that? That's like walking around. Basically, the Hitler stash is kind of like it's the kind of the mustache. It's a mustachioed slur at this point. That's what it is. You can't even just wear it. Because it doesn't wear it.
No, I get that, but it also doesn't look good. Like if it was something where it looked good, then people would be like, "Look, we're gonna let it bring it back."
No,
but it doesn't even look good.
No,
you look silly having it.
Even if it looked good, you can't. No, you can't. I think the reason that it's been banned is because the person that popularized, or one of the people that popularized it.
I mean, people still use swastikas because they're cooler looking. But the mustache looks dumb.
No, well, they're not using it for that reason because it's cool looking.
They're not.
Yeah, and by the way, before Hitler got a hold of the swastika, also something that was seen as
it's like a peaceful thing.
Yeah, it was seen as something like a sign of good luck and prosperity by all these other generations.
Ruin that.
And exactly, he ruins everything. So you cannot fashion something after that. It's ruined.
Nope.
Yeah. So sorry, MJ. That's how much we love him though. We never called him out. Nobody even brings it up. This is the longest discussion anybody's ever had about the Hitler stash that MJ wore.
No, I guarantee there was hefty discussions in the Hanes department about that. Guarantee those discussions were long.
Man.
We got another meeting about the Hitler stash.
Is it still on YouTube? Can you find it on YouTube?
I guarantee there's pictures.
Has MJ used his influence?
I guarantee somebody. I bet it's on Reddit.
To get it taken down.
It's got to be on Reddit somewhere.
He's a billionaire now, so he can get it taken down. He can pay enough people.
Elon will take it off Twitter.
That is true. All right, enough talk about that. See, we're supposed to be talking about MJ being the good, but that is proof he's the GOAT.
It's proof.
Because even in our cancel culture, nobody's brought it up. Nobody will bring it. Nope. We don't talk about that. No, hell no. That's MJ, damn it. You better leave him alone. They should have brought that up in the Last Dance documentary. They never talked about that? Never talked about it.
I don't think it was part of that season.
Right? He's like,
I think it was well after that season.
no, it was well after. I'm just saying, like, just later on. Anyway, all right. Let's get to start with the XFL first, and then we'll get to the NBA All-Star Weekend preview. So, because the XFL rant isn't going to take that long. So, I actually like what the XFL. The first thing the XFL did that was a brilliant collaboration and move by The Rock. This is why I know The Rock's a savvy guy. He ended up getting a relationship with the NFL. Yeah, most people forget this. The NFL and the XFL are partnered on a innovations program to expand the game through creative, increased opportunities for player development, but mostly through innovation via officiating or technological innovations. And they forged this partnership in the off season when The Rock, I don't want to say when he first bought the league and was trying to push for some type of NFL partnership. And it's actually smart. It's actually beneficial for both the NFL and for The Rock and for the XFL because the NFL has long borrowed, I like how CDC calls it, Chris Del Conte, the R&D department, rip off and duplicate. The NFL, even though it's a copycat league, the NFL itself, the NFL has copied a lot of their innovative concepts and a lot of their innovative initiatives from other leagues. The XFL, USFL, the CFL, the AFL. I mean, there were so many different leagues that were popping up at one time or another, while the NFL, of course, has been the most steady of all those leagues and, of course, the most successful. The Skycam, which the NFL uses to this day, and those cable cams actually was an XFL innovation. The XFL started using it, and the NFL decided, man, that actually is a pretty good idea. Would help our broadcast, and it would add more depth and access for the watcher, for the NFL fan. When the NFL's always mic'd up players, but they never used it real time until the XFL started using theirs real time. And now every now and then they'll give you real time access of players and coaches being mic'd up while in the game, and a peek into it. The XFL was doing a ton of that, to a gratuitous amount of it, you could argue.
The original XFL was they told you they were gonna have the cheerleader locker room too.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff.
They kind of, there was some things where they were doing it and then it
was like gratuitous amounts of.
Hey, we're gonna share the cheerleaders. Like, no, stop.
Exactly.
You're on NBC, guys.
But they also eliminate the PATs, which I think, and now, by the way, I think they still keep the same rule. You get to go for 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points from the 2-yard line, 5-yard line, and the 10-yard line. Remember, the NFL also has been incentivizing teams by moving the extra point back from the 20 to the 33 to try to incentivize teams to go for 2. So they haven't totally gotten rid of the PAT, but they've been essentially decentivizing PATs for a while. The NFL got their 2-point conversion from, I think CFL was doing it before the NFL. College football was doing it before the NFL. The AFL, USFL before that. NFL finally decided, all right, you know what? We're going to use the 2-point conversion too. So the NFL has always looked at these other leagues because they can afford to take a lot of chances. They have to separate themselves from the rest of the NFL. I'm sorry, from the NFL itself and the rest of these leagues, I should say. And the way they do that is by experimenting with a lot of these rules. And the NFL looks at them and thinks to themselves, which I think the NFL has been really good about being a very flexible league. It is the most experimental league, arguably, in America because they change the rules every damn year. Remember the catch rule? They changed the catch rule like 3-4 different times. Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. They change it back. Because they decide if it's working, we're going to go with it. If it's not working, we're not going to go with it. And sometimes the NFL decides if it ain't broke, fix it anyway. I'm going to screw with something that doesn't even need to be tampered with, but messed with, and they'll decide, you know what, we think we're going to upgrade. We think this can make the game better. So if you start looking at the rules of the new XFL that is starting up this weekend, they keep their no extra point rule. So 1 point is from the 2, 2 points from the 5, and I think you got 3 points from the 10. So they're going to keep that. But also something I really like is their kickoff. they do a really good job with their kickoff because they've decided, and this is something the NFL probably should have been thinking about doing for a while. They basically decided that they're only going to allow the returner and the kicker to move on a kickoff until the ball is actually either caught or until the ball is, I think, on the ground for 3 seconds. So the XFL kickoff, putting the kicking team and the returning team 5 yards apart. So they're 5 yards apart. No one except the kicker and the returner can move until the ball is caught or is on the ground for 3 seconds. This is to encourage returns and discourage touchbacks. The XFL teams in 2020 had a 92% return rate. The NFL return rate on kickoffs is 40%. So essentially, the NFL kickoff return is disappearing. Every year, you're starting to see fewer and fewer returns. This is something that incentivizes returns while also being a safer option for the NFL. And it's a safer and a more entertaining option for the NFL. So I don't know why the NFL hasn't adopted this yet. Maybe they hadn't seen enough of it. But you see, if you start watching it, it actually is an entertaining kickoff return.
It is. I mean, we know that the NFL is trying to get away from kickoffs altogether. So this will be interesting to see how.
It's because it's violent, though.
And that's
most concussions occur on kickoffs.
So it'll be interesting to see how in this, if there is more injuries. The XFL, the first season had that scrum for the football.
Oh,
have a coin toss.
Yeah.
And they had to stop it because everyone was getting hurt doing it.
Yeah.
Because basically they'd run as fast as they can and then hit heads.
Yeah.
And so it's a really bad idea in retrospect. But this will be another one. It's like, well, does this work? And people are doing it and we're not having a lot of injuries. Then the NFL might look at it and go, oh, there's a way we can still have kickoffs and not have injuries. But you're going to have to make sure the injury rate stays down.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think they have the research and they claim that there are way fewer concussions with their style of kickoff and kickoff return than the NFL's. The NFL's most violent play is still its kickoff, strangely enough, and now that's why they decreased the kickoff altogether. This is an option where you can have a safer kickoff return, less impactful, so fewer car crashes on kickoffs, and yet you still have an entertaining play. And you can still showcase the athleticism, the explosivity of certain players. I like their kickoff. So one thing I'm looking forward to is the XFL's kickoff and kickoff return. Watch it. It is something that I do think the NFL is watching very closely too. They're going to have their own numbers on it. And now you have a official collaboration and partnership. So now they're sharing data. And literally through their innovation program, the NFL is sharing data with the XFL for this very purpose. Also, something I like, and I think this is something the NFL is going to adopt too, the Golden Challenge. I know, but that's what they call it, a Golden Challenge. So basically, after initiating all reviews from the replay booth in 2020, the XFL will give its 2023 coaches one challenge per game, a Golden Challenge, to use on any play or penalty in a game. The NFL, by contrast, does not allow coaches to replay coaches or replay officials to review penalties. So you can't review penalties in the NFL. They're going to allow you to throw the flag even on a penalty. Bad holding call, bad PI, late in the game that decides it. You don't like that? No, I'm throwing the flag. Review it. Honestly, Bill Belichick has been calling for this for about 10 years. Bill Belichick wants them to make every play reviewable or challengeable, I should say. Reviewable via the challenge. It's probably the best way to say it. He wants all of those plays to be a play that can be challenged. And it's depending on how it works, the NFL may decide to adopt it. Like I said, now they're sharing information and data on these very topics. So I like it. That's what I like about it. I know that's kind of the nerdy view or the nerdy thing to be excited about for the XFL. Because other stuff. They got a player, Josh Gordon's playing, A.J. McCarron, Vic Beasley, Paxton Lynch is a name you would recognize, Ben DiNucci is going to be playing, Martavis Bryant, Brett Hundley is one of the guys that's playing too.
So Paxton Lynch, who the Cowboys wanted, and Ben DiNucci, who the Cowboys did have.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. You got that. Yeah, the biggest issue with these leagues is that it's hard to find good quarterbacks. It's hard to find them in the NFL too.
Yeah.
They're tough to find. And now all these guys are trying to resurrect their careers. I think they get good money though. They're getting $5,000 each week, $1,000 bonus for winning. 10 weeks long season. Then they got playoffs. It's 8 teams, 2 divisions. They got a title game on May 13th. And the games are on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, FX. So, yeah, you can check it out if you want to. Okay, we didn't get a chance to get into the All-Star festivities coming up this weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend, but we will do that, I promise you. Top of the 6 o'clock, we'll get into the NBA All-Star Weekend preview and talk about that a little bit. All right, let's take a break because we got my man Harj coming up next. Hardball Harj. Yes, it's Harj Knock Life. He's going to join us via the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline, and he's going to be talking to us about some Texas baseball. Yes, that's right. Texas baseball starting up this weekend, and my man Harj is going to break it all down for us. Coming up next, right here on Harj Knock Life on Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. We all know that football season is over, and, you know, a lot of you out there are a little down in the dumps about it. Well, you shouldn't be, because there's still plenty of ways for you to win a lot of straight cash, homie, over at MyBookie. So you can keep the excitement alive over at MyBookie. If you're tired of losing and using the same old betting apps and having the same old betting experience, you can upgrade today with MyBookie, the premier destination for online sports betting. Whether you bet to earn money or to make the games more exciting, MyBookie gives you the most bang for your buck with their redesigned deposit bonus just in time for March Madness. That's right, folks. Use the promo code HORN, HORN, to receive a bonus instantly to your MyBookie account. That's HORN, HORN, to receive your bonus. There's no shortage of games to choose from at MyBookie, and everyone knows that March Madness equals points, baby. It's the best time of the year for you to hammer some of those overs. So with every player out there looking to make a name for themselves, you can make a name for yourself, and those player props are a great way for you to find the edge. With so many brands to choose from, you need a platform that makes it simple to bet and easy to use, like MyBookie. You can win big over at MyBookie. Bet anything, bet anytime, and bet anywhere. As long as you're betting with my friends at MyBookie, you're betting with the best. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Usually, my man Hardball Hodge be bringing in Hard Knock Life, but he is on the road actually helping out the folks at Flow Baseball because he is calling some baseball action tonight and actually this weekend, and he's joining us right now on the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline. What's going on, Hard? How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm sitting in here by my man Craig Way, Roger Wallace, and the great Keith Moreland, checking out some baseball, man. This is that time of year. I've been walking around and getting to see a lot of different people, and of course, you know, the action is starting to pick up. Right now, we're considered the appetizer for tonight's game with Arkansas taking on the Texas Longhorns. So TCU and Vanderbilt are playing right now. Earlier this morning, Oklahoma State beat Missouri 5-3 in a battle, and it's been very intense. Let's just say this: the fans don't care that today is opening day because they're yelling at umpires already.
Hey, man, you got to get in the spirit, right? Yeah, getting that,
No
that,
doubt
that
about
baseball spirit, man. All right, so let me know how you're feeling about this first matchup for Texas baseball, and tell me a little bit about their opponent coming up. Give me the scouting report.
Yeah, it's two teams that are dealing with a bunch of youth, to be quite honest with you. Both teams lost a lot of talent off of last year's team. We've talked about the University of Texas and what they have got to put back into play right now. I mean, Dylan Campbell has been quoted to be the bona fide leader of the position players, and Lucas Gordon has taken over that room for the pitching staff. So he's going to get the ball tonight, Lucas Gordon is, and it's going to be a lefty-lefty matchup tonight because they're going to have their top left-hander, Hagen Smith, is going to be taking the mound for Arkansas. But both teams are going to be young. I mean, Texas is going to have two guys starting on the corners that are freshmen, and they're going to have to deal with the adversity of this stadium. And the reason why I say it's going to be adversity because it is going to be loud. There's a bunch of people here right now for the Vanderbilt and TCU game. Obviously, TCU coming just up the road. It's not very far, so they're traveling well. But Arkansas, I see a lot of red in the stands already, and it's not even close to being game time. So it's going to be an intense environment. I think the team is going to be ready to go. I talked to Coach Pierce a little bit this afternoon, and he seems pretty confident about his squad. But just like anything else, you still have to deal with the youth. And how are these kids going to react? We talked about this too, Rod, and you know this better than anybody. If you don't get your heart rate in the right spot, it can kind of overwhelm you a lot. So we'll see how these young players come out and play, and I'm excited for it because it's opening day. But not only that, we're starting to learn new names because it's not your traditional Texas Longhorn baseball team where everybody knows the names of the players. Now you're going to have to pay attention to the roster. Let's just say that.
No, trust me, it's a lot of excitement with this Texas baseball team, and maybe a lot of unproven commodities there, but they sold out all the season tickets, so there's a ton of excitement about this season. Tell me about this, because you get a chance to, get to meet, a lot of people. I always say Harsh knows every damn body, but you also, know some of these folks who are added to this coaching staff. One of the most intriguing elements of this new Texas, this revamped Texas team is the overhauled coaching staff and, how they're going to come together. Obviously through different circles, these coaches and of them. Tell me the different strengths and what each of those guys are going to bring to the table.
Well, Coach Steve Rodriguez is a former teammate of mine, and he is a professional. And when I mean that, he understands how to talk to these young players. I mean, he was coach at Baylor for, I think, 19 years, if I'm not mistaken. So he's been a head coach, so he knows how to have those conversations, and it's a little bit different for him now. Now he can go and really just kind of hang out with the players and get to know them a little bit different than it is being the leader of the group. Woody Williams, 15 years in the big leagues. He understands what it's all about, and he's going to be able to kind of calm that pitching staff down. But don't forget, David Pierce is more of a pitching guy as well. So that is the part that you're going to try to figure out is how are those two going to mesh with each other with their ideas and their concepts and what's going to be next. And I think they're going to be able to work with that too. I was talking to Steve this morning, Coach Rodriguez this morning, and he's just as excited as the players are. I mean, he's at the University of Texas. He told me a while back that He didn't realize what wearing the burnt orange truly meant until he went on a recruiting trip and going through the airports and seeing that, and him wearing the burnt orange kind of changed the way people viewed him. And it's nothing against Baylor, but you know how it goes. I mean, everybody's looking at that burnt orange, especially in those baseball circles. They expect a big team and an exciting team and a team that can go to Omaha. But I think this whole staff spending more time being on the road together is going to help them out a lot too, because you get to see how people's reactions are during different times of games. And so that's the biggest thing as well.
With such a young team, is the leadership easy to identify with this group, or is it something that you expect to be, that cultivates throughout the season, something that develops throughout the season, or is it something that you being in the know, you already know who the leaders are going to be? It holds everybody accountable in this group.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, to be quite honest with you. I talked about Dylan Campbell, but don't forget about Eric Kennedy. Porter Brown coming over from TCU. He's a grad transfer, so he's a more mature type of player. So he's going to be able to help them out quite a bit. And in that pitching room, I mean, Lucas Gordon has been here. Tanner Witt is still part of the team because he's still working out. He's not ready to pitch yet, but he's getting to that point. But I look at him as somebody that's going to be a leader as well, just because of his reputation, number one. But number two, he's been around there. He knows and seen a lot. Don't forget, he was a closer at one point, and then he was coming out to be a starting pitcher, and that's when the injury happened. But he's going to be good to go. And I think a lot of these guys that have come in from the transfer portal as well, not just Porter Brown, but other players, they're going to have to find their way, and I think they're going to be able to lead as well, because let's not forget, some of the people that transferred in, they're older, so they get it. They understand some of the adversity that they're going to see, and that's the other part of it too. With the wins are going to be great, but you get a lot of lessons learned in some of the losses, and that's what I say, you're going to have to figure out who's going to be the one to kind of settle and calm the waters.
Hardball Harge joining us, of course, for Hard Knock Life. Right here is he's getting ready to call some games this weekend for Flow Baseball. He's joining us right now for Hard Knock Life. Hey, Harge, let me if you were put your scouting hat on for me. You're a scout.
It's funny that you say that, Rob. Before you get all the way in it, I've been sitting with a bunch of scouts. When I first got here this morning to watch some of the games, I was sitting with all of the scouts, and
nice.
It's funny, all the conversations that are being had during that time. And it's always interesting to me because I've been on the other side of it, right? I've been the player, so they're filling out the scouting reports. But now, being in the seat that I am now and listening to how they view players, I'm always like, man, why you always hating on people, man?
No, I totally agree with you, because I've always said, because I've hung out with a couple of scouts too, and they're negative because this is my theory. They're critics. And
right.
Most critics are negative. When you're talking about a hotel critic or a movie critic, like they don't want to easily give away compliments or right. Like that, those types of things. So I think ultimately just scouts are critics. So they're looking for what's negative about your skill set, what's wrong with your skill set. That's what they get paid for. Because I think any really pedestrian, any novice can look at a great athlete and go, they do this, and this really well. It does take a trained eye to go, yeah, they do that well, but look at their feet, look at their hands, look at their eyes.
Right.
Most people can't do that. So I think that's what it is, but I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Okay, so give me the guys that this weekend for any team, even Texas as well, that as a scout they're gonna pop.
Yeah, well, this weekend I can tell you right now, I'm looking at one right now, Enrique Bradfield Jr. from Vanderbilt. Texas plays Vanderbilt, I believe Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. So you'll get a chance to see him as well. This guy is a specimen. If the ball can stay in the ballpark, he's going to be able to run it down in center field. He's just that electric. Last season, he was 46 of 46 in stolen bases. That's the lost art that I was telling you about, right?
Yeah.
And that guy, anytime he gets on, he puts the ball in play. He doesn't strike out much. He makes things happen. For Texas, the guy that I'm really excited to see and see what he can do is Dylan Campbell. I mean, he finished the season really hot and played well and did a lot of good things on the baseball field. and I'm ready for him to take that next step. I think it's big for him. I think it's going to be big for him. And then for TCU, their third baseman, Rogers, he's one of their best players in the conference. And so Brandon Taylor. Brandon Taylor, he's one of the best players in the conference, and he's actually, I think, preseason all Big 12 and player to watch in the Big 12. So he's going to be one of those guys that I'm going to be paying attention to as well this weekend.
All right, so let the people know exactly what games you are calling and how they can, get some of that insight from Hardball.
No doubt. I will be calling tonight's game, Texas and Arkansas, which I'm really excited about because next year going to be, or 2 years going to be SEC opponents with each other, but they were also Southwest Conference opponents as well. So that's going to be really exciting. And that they travel well as does Texas. And then tomorrow morning I'll be working the 11 o'clock game and the 3 o'clock game, which will be Texas as well. And then I'll work the last game for Texas on Sunday.
Nice.
So I'll be up early tomorrow, man. I'll be up early tomorrow.
We're Cyberstalk my man Harge at Hardball Harge in the Twitterverse. We know you're really busy, man, so we appreciate the time. And give my best to the crew there, all the legends, Craig Way,
right.
Keith Moreland, Roger Wallace. Give my best to those guys, man. And you guys have a good time.
I want to give a shout-out to Craig
Go
Way
ahead.
because this is the first time that I've actually seen him go to work, right? Like, most of the time when I'm with him, everything's already in place. He has been working his butt off, making sure that he can bring you those golden tones at 7 o'clock for the first pitch. He has been working, putting all the – Patrick, he's coming for your job, bro. He's coming for your job.
Hey, I'm going to see him tomorrow when I'm going to set up with the gear, all right?
Yeah,
That's right. You're going to be doing the setup for him tomorrow. That's right. I appreciate that.
I worked with that man for many years, and the people say that I got a great work ethic. Honestly, I was trying to keep up with Craig Way.
No doubt.
So I wouldn't.
see it.
So exactly, so I wouldn't look bad. And honestly, I owe a lot of that to the man. So he's a legend.
I'm over
for a
here
reason.
sweating, watching him put work together. I'm over here sweating in my suit today.
Hey, don't worry. He makes everybody feel like that, but he's the man. All right,
He is the man.
Thanks, Harge. We appreciate you, brother, and good luck.
I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.
All right. That is my man Hardball Harge. He's my co-host and is our co-host. And usually he'd be here, but he's calling some games for Flow Baseball, Texas games for Flow Baseball. So I want to thank him for his time. And if you want to hear those baseball games, you can hear them right here on 104.9 The Horn. That's right, baby. Texas baseball is back, and you'll have my man Craig Way on the call. Man, hanging out with Craig Way, Roger Wallace, and Keith Moreland. Big Red, just hanging out with some legends, just kicking
Just
it.
watching a
Hall
baseball
of
game?
Famers.
Just watching the game right now?
Yeah, just hanging out.
Can you think of more people that you'd want to hang out and watch a baseball game with?
Oh, yeah, maybe you can throw Swindell in there. Swindell's a great guy to watch a game with because he's got great notes. You're right.
That's some knowledge right there being dropped.
It is. There's a lot of knowledge being dropped, man, no doubt. But thanks to Harge for doing a great job. All right, we got got Off the Record coming up now after Harge Knock Life. So Tiger Woods, he may have to go to sensitivity training. We'll get into that on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. Time to get to another edition of Off the Record. So I'm glad Tiger's having fun because Tiger's playing, so a lot of people are excited. He is he's playing right now. Or is he playing right now, actually?
He played earlier today. He
Oh,
finished
earlier
up
today.
earlier today.
Okay,
yes.
so is he going to make the cut?
I do not believe so. Maybe now. The cut has moved back, so he may actually end up making the cut.
Okay.
As of right now, he is actually making the cut.
Oh, there you go. All right, that's good news for Tiger Woods, y'all. Well, he's playing in the Genesis Invitational, and this happened during the first round. So this was yesterday, right? He's making the cut, or was it
So he shot a 69 on the first day.
60 on the first day, and today
Shot a 74, so he is one over overall.
So he was,
when he finished, the cut line was even, so he was not going to make the cut. The cut line now is +1, so everyone +1 and up is in.
It's fantastic.
So as of right now, he is in, but that cut line shifts back to even, he gets knocked out.
That's a good point. All right, so yesterday when he was, and I think he had 3 birdies in a row at one point. So the golf world was just excited. I mean, they were really, really pumped because everybody assumed, man, Tiger might be, playing at a really high level. That's always really good for the sport. So he was feeling himself yesterday, and apparently after one of his really good drives, he he handed a tampon to Justin Thomas, who I assume was, it was on the 9th hole. So basically Woods handed him a tampon after out driving him on the 9th hole on Thursday. And I guess it was just his way of talking some trash. Like, hey, man, you might need this after what I just watched. I'm assuming that's the message.
Well, and so they had been trash talking all day because I was watching it, and the announcers were pointing out how much trash talking they were doing to each other.
Wow.
And it was Justin Thomas and Tiger Woods, and then Rory McIlroy was the third guy in their group. And they're like, Rory's not really and Rory's now tied for 4th. He is 3 back of the lead. So he's playing the best out of the 3 of them. But those two were apparently, and all in good fun. Like it was
this is
just good banter
this
between
is
them.
great.
But it was apparently those two who were going back and forth the entire day yesterday.
I think it's awesome. I believe that now among the cancel culture world that we're in right now, I know Tiger's probably got an answer for it.
He did. He in his press conference, he's already apologized.
He's already publicly apologized. And you see what? This is what's wrong. This is what's wrong with golf. You should be able to do stuff like this. Is it distasteful? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it offensive? No.
Well,
is it offensive?
I'll tell you what's really funny.
Distasteful and offensive.
So
very different things.
ESPN Plus has the groupings.
Yeah.
So I have a TV in my office now. I'm watching it just during the day I'm working. I just have it on. The amount of times they have to drop because someone's cussing while Tiger's playing is really, you're like, this is like 3 times a hole the audio is dropping. And I know what it is that they're just cutting audio because someone's cussing.
Man.
But it is so much. You're like, I would not expect that in golf.
I know that. To me, I think that's kind of what golf needs.
I think it is too.
Golf needs to be a little bit more raw, a little more unfiltered. Stuff like this, like I said, distasteful. Yes. You not want your kids, you're only teaching your kids about sportsmanship, watching moments like this about their heroes. I get all that.
Hey man, if you're live right now.
But this is like the WWE.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what
That's what I'm saying. But
encroaching on PGA. This is great.
But if the Live Tour, if they want to come out, they need to start getting highlights of people trash talking each other.
Yes. Imagine if golf just
because y'all
becomes,
are already the bad boys of golf, right?
and every
You
golf
got Phil Mickelson in his leather jackets.
every golf group I knows, that's one of the major reasons they go out with each other. I'm not a golfer. So I don't know the culture, but I got friends that are deep in the culture, and they just talk ish to each other all day. There's just constant trash talk.
Trying to flip the cart into reverse when they're
Whatever it
taking
is.
a
It's just about
backswing.
everything.
You gotta, if you don't make it past the ladies' tee on the first shot, you gotta shoot the next one with your pants down.
And
These are just golf traditions.
Exactly. To me, this is kind of a golf tradition. I think it'd be great. Now, tell the guys, listen, don't get into things that are being offensive. Be distasteful. All right? This is like the WWE model. You can be distasteful, but just don't be offensive and disrespectful. I don't know if that's just, maybe the ladies can let me know if that's disrespectful for another man to give another man a tampon. Is that disrespectful to the ladies?
I think it would be
I'm not
more
a woman, so I don't know.
disrespectful if it wasn't on him hitting a short drive. Because there is closer tees for the ladies. It is just so if you're saying
But that's
you
a
are playing.
fact.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think if it was like he didn't chip well, then yes, that's offensive. But if it's like I drove the ball like a man and you didn't, I mean it's somewhat less offensive.
So maybe you
I
can give,
get it. As I'm saying it out loud, it seems somewhat
I
offensive.
guess it does seem offensive.
As I'm saying it out loud.
I guess it does seem offensive now. That
But as someone who played sports for most of my life, that it doesn't. In my head, it doesn't. But I get why it is.
I think it's offensive because now we're offended by everything.
Yeah.
But I wish it wasn't considered offensive because I think, man, that's kind of what golf needs.
I was
golf
hoping that
needs
he
to be
was
a little
gonna-
edgier, and that is edge.
So I was hoping he was going to say he was going to take the Mike McDaniel vape defense and be like it was a Sharpie, and I was just handing him a Sharpie to sign autographs later.
Yeah, I guess he could have chosen
You got to
something
go.
else.
Let's just start everything you start handing somebody. Just call it a Sharpie. It's a Mike
Well,
McDaniel vape
if he
excuse.
if he handed him some lipstick, would that have been different?
No, I mean,
You know what I mean?
probably yes.
Because it is a feminine
Oh,
product
that's even
that is
more-
considered
that's-
an intimate
now that may
feminine
even
product.
that may even be more offensive
yeah,
now.
well, these days, you're right.
Yeah, that may be more.
These days, you probably could get yourself in a lot more trouble with that one. It's like, oh, what are you identifying with? What are you talking about here? What's the pronouns? I get it. And I don't want to disrespect people, and
No,
I don't want
it's-
people to be offended. So if the ladies are offended by it, I understand. I'm not a woman, and I get it.
I will
if that's
say,
offensive.
I will say, the amount of people that were actually watching that, if you didn't cover it, you blame you TV networks. All you got to do is not show it.
Yeah.
And then there have been like 12 people at the place who actually saw it happen, and then no one would have known.
Yeah, like I said, I need to ask my wife if she's offended by it. She's a woman, I trust women. Please, if you're listening, let me know and say, please, I'm a woman and I'm offended by it. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I would like to seriously know because if it is offensive, then yeah, I guess he needs to apologize. Man, I think golf. Taking that incident aside, take that out of it. Yes,
The trash talking
that
they
may have
did
been
for the
going a
rest
little
of the
far.
game, yeah.
But yes, the trash talking they should keep, and I think they should keep in that kind of gamesmanship. Just I guess try to walk the line between being distasteful
Yeah.
and offensive.
And if you're the Live Tour, be the most offensive. You're already the Saudis. They can't cancel you.
You're hated already.
You're already that
You're already
guy.
hated. You're already the villains.
So go ahead and just lean into it, and then it'll be the best. Then you'll have this weird, awful golf tournament
Yeah,
that no one wants to watch, but they'll be like, oh, I'll watch the highlights.
I
I'll
know.
watch the highlights.
Imagine if golf just became like the ultimate trash talking sport, like
Oh, yeah.
more so than any other sport. That's became like what they were known for is that you get a great drive and you look at whoever you're golfing with and just start talking trash to them, talking down to them. I would watch that. I would watch. They basically became the PGA became the WWE version of PGA. I would watch it all day, every day.
You are going to have to get some more
Dude.
some more diversity in if you're going to do that because
Hey, let's go.
old
exactly.
white men not known for their best trash talking.
That's what be great about it. It's old white men you're not expecting the trash talk that are trash talking. That's what makes it stand out. You're like, man, what? That guy's trash talking? That would be I'm
Just
telling you.
dropping references from the 60s.
Come on now, for real. Just giving you the business out there. I think it'd be great.
Go
More-
fly a kite.
Exactly. He sounds like Biff from Back to the Future.
Oh, when you shoot like your mother wears army boots.
That's right. Oh man, that's good stuff. All right, we'll come back. We got NFL news, notes, and nuggets. The NFL not a fan of the tush push. Eric Bieniemy looks to be getting out of the friend zone. We'll also talk about how a photo could decrease your draft stock, and the Cowboys and the Texans are making coaching staff acquisitions. We'll talk about all that and more. We're going to cram a lot into the next couple of segments. All that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie. 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Time is money. We all know that. And so do my friends over at Apple Leasing. They want to be your friends, too, because they can save you time, save you money, and find you great value. We know the car market right now is, it's crazy. I mean, it's a labyrinth. It's really tough to navigate the current car market. My friends at Apple Leasing, they want to help you do so. Matter of fact, that's what they do really, really well. They can help you get the price you want, the payment you want on the car that you want. The professionals over at Apple Leasing can help you get, like I said, the actual car that you want. You want a new car, they can help you out with that. All it takes is one phone call, one click on Apple Leasing's website, and you'll get a quote on any make or model vehicle that you want. They can even give you an estimate on the value of your trade-in right over the phone. Apple Leasing's simple interest, easy lease makes things, simple, because it allows you to have a lot more flexibility, which is going to give you more possibilities and options to help you find the vehicle that fits you best, but more importantly, the vehicle that fits your budget best. Inflation is out of control. Let's be honest. I mean, it's never been more expensive to buy a new car, buy a used car, buy anything for that matter, but at least why leasing actually makes more sense than ever. You're only paying for the part of the car you're actually using. So call Apple Leasing today, 512-346-9977, and let them see how much money they can save you, because they get all the same discounts, all the same incentives that the dealers do, except my friends at Apple Leasing, they pass those savings right on to you, the customer. So you're the actual winner in this transaction. So give them a call, 512-346-9977, or visit appleleasing.com. That's appleleasing.com. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is a song by Intergalactics featuring the Groove Line Horns. Who are the Groove Line Horns? You hear that horn section. They play every Tuesday at Seaboys. You can bring in some MCs to kind of do some hip hop over the top of this. You got some singers. You got a lot of cool stuff that happens, but it is always a party Tuesday at Seaboys. And this Tuesday is Fat Tuesday.
Nice.
So I thought we'd go to a place to be able to get out. And, Rod, you guys will be on location on Tuesday as well.
That's right.
So for Fat Tuesday plans, you can go do this at night, but you can also go join Ball Don't Lie. They're going to be at Mudbugs in Buda. That's 306 South Main Street in Buda. Going to be out there celebrating Fat Tuesday.
I've heard my man E. Hogan bragging about this spot and how great it is.
It's apparently got Cajun food to get you ready for Fat Tuesday.
My favorite genre of food is probably Cajun food.
Oh, so you're going to be... Well, because you don't eat in public, so you're going to be out there. So you may have to break that a little bit before the show, and definitely you're going to take home.
I'm definitely going to snack a little bit while I'm there, and then I'm hitting up wifey, and then we're going to, look at the menu, and then I'm taking copious amounts of food to the crib.
Yeah, you're going to come with 2 bags. This is going to be a 2-bagger.
Oh, and it's hard to find good Cajun food in Austin. I know there are some good Cajun food joints, and I've, visited them all. Most of them anyway, not all of them, most of them. And they're pretty good, but I have not had this. Is it Mudbugs, you said?
Mudbugs in Buda, yes.
Mudbugs in Buda. I cannot wait.
Yes.
I'm really excited about
so
that.
That'll be
Fat
Tuesday.
Tuesdays.
If anybody wants to go out there and join, I will not be able to be out there, but the guys will be out there. Because I got to Texas has a basketball game that night.
Oh, that is
so
true.
I will be at the Texas basketball
Man's
game.
got to get double duty going. He's got a basketball game this weekend. As a matter of fact, Texas, Oklahoma, that'll be tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit about that matchup coming up in 6 o'clock. You can be a part of the show on the Specs text line, 512-337-3776. Ooh, someone says, I'm making some gumbo tonight. And shrimp and grits are awesome. Okay, making gumbo tonight? Ooh, how's that roux? If you say what's the roux, then you ain't making good gumbo.
Then you don't hang out with enough Cajun people.
How's that roux? That's the toughest part of the gumbo. Is the roux.
You know what? I am convinced roux is a made up word that was just by someone who couldn't understand a Cajun person.
Could be.
Yeah, if you were just like, hey, what's the secret ingredient? I made that roux.
Oh,
and they're they were saying something else, but they said, oh, that roux, they could put a roux in that number.
And the reason I know the joke is actually has some basis of fact in it. I got family, and I don't always understand them. I took my wife down to Louisiana to meet some of my Cajun family. She's like, I can't understand them all the time. I was like, babe, I can't understand all the time. You just nod. And you just laugh. Because most of the time it's a joke, an inappropriate joke of some kind. You good, just laugh and keep it moving if you don't understand what they're saying. There you go. But yes, Dude Kelly said, I'll make my famous chicken and sausage gumbo. Ooh. You ain't gonna put no seafood up in that joint?
That's okay, man.
I'm cool with this.
Hey, chicken and sausage. I mean, chicken's getting a little more expensive right now, but
that is true. Oh, you're right.
But normally it's a cost saving measure to keep the seafood out.
Hey, hey, you know what? I ain't knocking no gumbo without the seafood. It's all good. As long as you get the roux right. That's how I sound Cajun right there. Roux right.
You gotta get the roux right.
You gotta get the roux right.
You sound Cajun or Scooby Doo. I don't know.
I just realized it as I said it. Oh man, you just trying to say that will make you sound Cajun. Get the roux right.
Oh, that's how you got that Avery Johnson coming out of you now.
Avery does sound Cajun.
He's
Where's
from
he from?
Louisiana.
The South? Is he from Louisiana?
Yeah, he's from Louisiana.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because he sounds like he's from Louisiana. He just swamp people too.
No, I went to a small high school in Louisiana.
And people have said I sound like sometimes like Avery Johnson as well. That I got a little Avery Johnson. Reach out and grab it. All right, enough of that. All right, Specs Text Line 5. A lot of texts that are giving compliments to Mudbugs. So appreciate that. Really excited about that. Fat Tuesday remote we got coming up next week. 512-337-3776. We got a lot of NFL nuggets to hit. If we can't cram all of them into this segment, then we'll just hit them in the 5:30. I do want to try to talk some Texas football in Rod's Round the Day. So we're going to try to wrap up all of these NFL topics and talking Texans and Cowboys as quick as we can. So let's start with the Eric Bieniemy story. Right now, all the reports are, and most of them coming from Ian Rappaport, is that Washington and Eric Bieniemy, now second consecutive day of interviews or within the interview process. They are working towards a deal, ladies and gentlemen, for him to be the new play caller and offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. It is also reported that Matt Nagy is expected to be the top choice to replace Eric Bieniemy with Kansas City. Ironically, he was with Kansas City as the offensive coordinator and got a head coaching job and is already done with his head coaching tenure that he had with the Bears. He's actually was back with the Kansas City Chiefs as a senior assistant and quarterback coach. So it only makes perfect sense. It's going to be an easy transition for him. Remember, Eric Bieniemy has been with Andy Reid since 2013 as the running back coach, and then he was promoted to offensive coordinator in 2018, first year that Patrick Mahomes became the starting quarterback. So here's my take on Eric Bieniemy. I said this years ago. You probably have heard it before. Eric Bieniemy finally realized he was in the friend zone. And we've all been there. We've all had that moment. So don't feel any shame about it. We've all had that moment where a person that we really want to date, that we really like, and we're spending time with them, and it's like maybe it's not going as fast as you like. Maybe it's not going exactly how you would have planned, but you don't know you're in the friend zone. And then there's that moment where he or she starts talking to you about somebody they're interested in dating, somebody they think it's hot, somebody they want to bang it out with, and you're like, whoa, I thought that was gonna be me. I thought that was gonna be me. And the agony of being in the friend zone is you don't realize it until one of those moments. And then either you stick around and you hope you can break through and get out of the friend zone, which is one of the toughest things to do, period, if you've been there before. And hopefully you can get out of the friend zone. And the agony is they never consider you while they're looking around elsewhere for all greener pastures and for these other potential love affairs and romantic interests. They never consider you, and you're right there. You're closer than everybody else. You get invited over for Netflix, but never to chill.
Man, I wish I could find a nice guy like you.
Exactly. You're so sweet. Yes, I am sweet. What the hell's going on here? And you're never. That's Eric Bieniemy, right? You want someone who's coordinated the best offense in the league. Eric Bieniemy raises his hand. You want someone who's worked with the best quarterback in the league. He raises his hand. You want someone who's worked with the best offensive mind in the league? He raises his hands. Oh, how about you want a champion, a Super Bowl champion, multiple times over? He raises his hand. And yet nobody considers him.
You want a guy who could identify a flaw in a defense, draw up the play, and then call the play twice in two situations and score touchdowns in the Super Bowl, and then that defensive coordinator still gets a head coaching job the next day?
He raised his hand. What about me? I'm here. And that's Eric Bieniemy. He's in the friend zone. He never gets it. And I think the moment for him which was the unfortunate moment where he knew he was in the friend zone, was when after out-coaching both opposing coordinators in the Super Bowl, they both got head coaching jobs. And he went, what about me? I'm here. You see what I just did? He's like, yeah, we don't care about what you just did. She's not interested in you. She's just not that into you. So he had to take a backward step, Patrick. And sometimes you got to have a minor setback for the major comeback. That's what he's hoping his Washington gig is.
Yeah.
Out of the friend zone, man. I've been there. It is a terrible place to be. You just feel so ashamed of this.
I wish he had gone to a team that was easy to root for, but I'll be rooting for Eric Bieniemy.
Hey, you know what will be? Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey's favorite team is Washington Commanders.
I know. Well, apparently he's in one of the groups bidding for it.
You're right. Good point.
He is one of
the
guys.
Like KD,
and I think Jay-Z and a bunch of
that would be cool.
They're all bidding for it right now. So
that would be awesome.
He might be one of the part owners.
That would be fantastic. So it's like he's had 16 teams bring him in for an interview. Half the damn league has brought him in. And he had 17 interviews. I got that from Fox Sports, so they didn't go in depth about him. I guess I got to go back and figure out what team brought him in twice, as Patrick said, because that team was really close. They really liked him. So anyway, Eric Bieniemy's getting his gig, so that's one of the big stories out there. And for everybody saying that he's never called plays, that's probably the most miseducated reason as to why he doesn't get a head coaching job. Man, Matt Nagy, Doug Peterson, Kevin O'Connell, and Frank Reich, Zach Taylor, Nick Sirianni, Andy Reid never called plays before he got the job with the Eagles. It happens all the time. I mean, so that's not the reason why. There is some baggage. He has been arrested, had an arrest for a suspended license, banned from the campus. He had an interaction with a parking attendant, had a DUI in 2001. he was on that Colorado staff where they had the scandal where the players had these sexual assault allegations against him. He was on that staff, so there's some questions there about what did he know about how much of what was going on. So there is some baggage, and maybe that's the reason he can't get a coaching job. Those are things that should be taken seriously, but there have been coaches with baggage, Matt Patricia being one of them, who had a sexual assault charge dismissed before he got the gig with Detroit, that have had baggage and been vetted. That baggage has been vetted. So, we'll see what happens with him, but it's not final, but I believe right now it would be a huge shock if he didn't end up getting that offensive coordinator job in Washington. All right, let's talk about the other NFL-related story, the tush push. For those who don't know what the tush push is, and I've talked about it actually on this show. We broke it down in depth, actually, and talked about it right when the playoffs started. The tush push is essentially the Philadelphia Eagles' unique version of the quarterback sneak. There is a rule against pulling a runner or a ball carrier forward. But in 2005, the NFL changed the rule where, you cannot pull a player forward, but you can push a player forward. Now, most teams have just let this loophole go without any, regard. They haven't really cared about it. Didn't really matter. Nick Sirianni, give him and the Eagles credit because of the ideal personnel, quarterback who was a power lifter in high school, also a dual threat guy in Jalen Hurts, and a Hall of Fame center in Jason Kelsey. They decided, the quarterback sneak actually can be something that can be weaponized within the construct of our offense. They had basically the greatest quarterback sneak numbers in the history of the NFL. They converted 36 of 40 this season, 10 rushing first downs for Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl. 6 of those were on quarterback sneaks alone. Essentially, you have the traditional quarterback sneak, but they call it a tush push because they have 2 to 3 players behind him, and each of those players grabs a buttock, all right? They grab a cheek, and then they just plow forward. And they usually get 2 or 3 yards. They run over everybody with that. And now there are several elements to this now. The competition committee is looking into it. Dean Blandino said, I think he's the Fox Sports rules analyst. He said, quote, I think the league is going to look at this, and I'd be shocked if they don't make a change. He said, I was talking to Sean Payton during Sunday's game, and he said, we're going to do this every time next season if they don't take it out with the Broncos. Remember, it's a copycat league, so hell, this is like aggressive mimicking. This is even far from copycatting, so other teams are going to try it. But Dean Blandino went on to say, it amounts to a rugby scrum. The NFL wants to showcase the athleticism and skill of our athletes. This is just not a skillful play. This is just a tactic that is not aesthetically pleasing, and I think the competition committee is going to look at it. And he also brought up an example. He said, if you remember on field goals and extra points, they used to be able to push the defensive lineman into the formation. You would find the weak link on the offensive line, and you would have their legs interlocked, and you would get 2, sometimes 3 defensive linemen and 2 linebackers all pushing into one player, and we got rid of that. So essentially the 3 options Dean Blandino states are going to be get rid of it all together, or essentially obviously let it lay and just decide, you know what, this is something only the Eagles are doing. Nobody else is really going to do it. Or disallow it only on quarterback sneaks. Say it is a situation-specific rule on quarterback sneaks. You cannot push a player forward on QB sneaks. Those are the options. And he says outlawing it on sneaks is easy. Now, for decades, it was illegal in the NFL. When they asked Dean Blandino why the hell did they change the rule then if it was illegal before 2005 or disallowed before then, he said, quote, the officials weren't being directed to call it, so they stopped calling it. Unfortunately, the rule book was changed to accommodate the way the game was being officiated rather than the other way around, which is stupid. It didn't even need to be addressed, and they decided to randomly address it, which doesn't make any sense at all. What I will say is I think it's a little unfair. It's a loophole the Eagles found. If they can find the numbers on player safety, they can give me the numbers of concussions that these quarterbacks and players are getting on quarterback sneaks, then that would be fine. But the truth is, they've never been concerned about the traditional quarterback sneak, only this one. And I think it's more about how effective it has been against opponents who really don't have an answer or a counter for it. And maybe those complaints now they've swelled to the point where it's more than 3 or 4 teams. They're saying, no, disallow this because they're the only team doing it. We don't want to have our quarterback doing that anyway. So, no, we don't like that tactic.
Yeah. And I mean, the Eagles didn't even use the good part of it by throwing the ball, which is the main reason why that one is worse than a Wildcat or anything else, was because technically he can just step back and toss the ball over the top and everybody jumps in. They didn't even ever use that.
They didn't.
I mean, are you saving that for next year? Because you may not be in the Super Bowl next year.
They should have had that. That would have been. That's the game. That was the game.
That's the next Philly special.
That would have been a beautiful. He would have fooled everybody.
Yeah.
They did it like 6 times. The quarterback 6, so they had chances to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why
and
they didn't.
I mean, like, to pitch and catch.
On a 3rd and 1,
I have to go back and look at the defensive formation to see how many safeties and how many, like.
How'd they bring them in the box? Did they bring everybody
how
down?
far back were they and where was it to see if there was any chance for some guy to slip out?
That's a good point.
But
I didn't look at that, but you're right. That was the time to use it.
Yeah. And if you're not setting it up to where you have a guy who can bump out, then you're not setting the play up very well.
Because all it takes is that run to block for a little while, and if Jalen Hurts can, and I know he can, just buy himself a half a second where he looks like he's going. Everybody's gonna go straight to a beeline toward the line of scrimmage, and that late release by the tight end, and they've done a jump pass, by the way.
Yeah,
they did a jump pass. Now I think it was a quarterback draw and not a quarterback sneak that they did the jump pass on. So he was in a shotgun. But they have the concept in their repertoire. I'm with you. I don't know why they haven't used that, but it might be disallowed. It might, and the reason it kind of reminds me. I told this story earlier about the sugar huddle. One of the great stories in NFL history is the late great Sam Weish. He was coaching the Bengals, and the Bills coach Marv Levy. They were meeting in the AFC title game. I think it's the 1988 season. And Marv Levy was upset because he figured the sugar huddle, which is the no huddle, which was the first time in the NFL anybody popularized. They've been doing it for like 5 years, by the way. They've been doing it since like 1983. It's when they first started doing the sugar huddle. And I believe that's a different story as to why they start calling it the sugar huddle. But I'll get into that maybe later, but I digress. In the AFC title game, Marv Levy famously said, when you break the huddle, and I know he's not huddling, so maybe it's hazy, they are not to come out with the 12 to 13 players on the field. He said he was told that by, Pete Rozelle at the time. And maybe there is some truth to it because 2 hours before the AFC title game, the league office called the Bengals and told them if they went no huddle, that they would get a 15-yard flag every time it happened. Bengals won the game anyway. Sam Rice said, the heck with them. We play by their rules, and we still beat them. But later on, the story came out, or at least it was told. I got it from ESPN. And Weiss said the league had previously informed Paul Brown, the Bengals owner, and NBC about, this sanction, I guess, this penalty for the no huddle. And the story is from ESPN is that Paul Brown, the owner, said he basically told the NFL, along with the referee and the NFL delegation that was there in the office, he said, go get Pete Rozelle on the phone right now because I want to tell him that if he interferes with the competitive balance of this game, and if we get penalized and lose this ball game, and the first thing I'm bringing up in the press conference is this conversation, and there are a lot of gamblers out there who aren't going to be very happy. And they said it was like 20 seconds before he came back. He left the room and came back. I'm not exaggerating. I bet it was 20 seconds. Commissioner says, go ahead, use the no huddle, no problem. Yeah.
I love a lot of gamblers as code for.
Because they knew.
Well, code for mobsters.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the code say gamblers, but I'm gonna say people with guns.
People with guns. Okay, the genesis of the sugar huddle, which obviously became the no huddle. Simply, this is what Sam Weiss said. Let's get up there, and we don't have to be in a real huddle. You guys kind of cuddle up there within a yard and a yard and a half of the line. Listen to the quarterback, and he will yell it out. Nobody can hear on the other side anyway, thanks to our crowd, and we'll just call it the cuddle huddle. They didn't go for that one because the guys didn't like the cuddle huddle. So he said we decided to call it the sugar huddle instead, which was a colloquialism from the South, meaning you sugar up to your honey or you sugar up to your girlfriend, kind of snuggle up and get up close to her, and it became the sugar huddle. I always thought it was because it was short and sweet. Turns out, no. It's because it's sugar up to
No,
your
he
honey.
really wanted to make it about cuddling.
He wanted the cuddle huddle, and the guys was like, "No cuddle huddle. That's not gonna catch on." It's amazing. It's all about marketing. Because remember, the West Coast offense was not a name that Bill Walsh gave to the West Coast offense. It was Bill Parcells mocking the West Coast offense after he beat them, saying, "What do you think of your West Coast offense now?" And the media ran with it and went, "That sounds good. That's good." So it's got it. The name is big. Cuddle huddle. I don't know if it's got the same kind of, mojo to it as Sugar Huddle. Maybe it does. I don't know. It does rhyme. You got the rhyming element to it. Okay. One other quick story here, because the Bryce Young story we'll get to in Raj around the day, and also I'll talk some Texas football. I'll give you a little nugget. I'm doing deep dives, getting ready for spring football, so I'll give you a little nugget there as well, and we'll get to that coming up here in the next segment. All right, so we'll get to Raj around the day. It'll be kind of a smorgasbord. There's some Texas football there, but also I want to have this Bryce Young discussion, so I think it's pretty good. All of that right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. All right, welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. I got a few things I want to hit here. Just really quickly, the Texans, they are finalizing the coaching staff. Chris Kiffin, who is related to, he's a brother of Lane Kiffin and the son of Money Kiffin. He is going to be the linebackers coach for the Texans. That was announced, got it from Aaron Wilson, and they're going to retain the D-line coach, Jacques Cesare, I believe is his name. They're going to retain him. Cowboys, on the other hand, they brought this up yesterday. They brought in an offensive assistant, Ramon Chinyang, as their assistant offensive line coach, and Will, I believe it's Harger, maybe it's Harger actually. They added him as, I believe, an offensive assistant, and I think he's going to be working with the quarterbacks. He might be like an assistant quarterback coach. I believe they have actually not specified exactly what he's doing, but he's joining the staff in offensive capacity. He's worked with Dan Quinn before. He worked with Dan Quinn when he was in Atlanta in 2019 as an offensive assistant. He worked with now the new offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, when he was in Seattle. I like this guy's resume because he's worked on defense too. He was at USC most recently working with Caleb Williams with Lincoln Riley, and he ended up working in Jacksonville for a little while with Trevor Lawrence too on the Schottenheimer there as well. And Dan Quinn brought him on to his staff when he was with Atlanta. But there was a time in college, actually he had some time at Texas as well, where he was on the defense side of the ball. He was a defensive assistant and an interim linebackers coach. And the linebackers coach at Tennessee Martin, defensive quality control coach at Texas under Will Muschamp in 2008, defensive assistant at Auburn, and then now most recently he switched to offense. So I do like the fact that he's kind of very expansive resume, but he's joining the Cowboys coaching staff. So there is that little update. Bryce Young. We got to get into this Bryce Young story here because it's really, really, it's interesting. And this is a silly season, right? This is the silly season where, the scouts who are putting out all of these different reports or evals of these players, they can get a little silly, especially the stuff they start critiquing. And it seems like the film matters less and less, and some of the kind of off the field or the off-season theater starts to matter a little bit more. So he took a picture. Bryce Young took a picture with Mina Kimes, who is a NFL Live analyst. She does a really good job. She's an NFL Live analyst, and she took a picture with him. And because of the picture, and they're side by side, all right, shoulder to shoulder, really close. Everybody's saying he looks too small compared to Mina Kimes.
Yeah, because she's like, what, 5'3", 5'4"?
She says she is 5'6".
Well, I believe she said in the thing, with heels, she was 5'7", and she's only a little bit shorter than him at 6 foot. But I think she's really a lot shorter, and so that's why they were
According
worried.
to Mina, she was wearing 4-inch heels at the time of the photo was taken, on top of the fact that she says, was nearing 5'7" in natural height.
5'7" natural height, okay.
So that means she's about 5'6" at the heels. That's 5'10". If she's 5'10" in the photo, he looks at least 2 inches taller than her.
Yeah.
That would put him, right at 6 foot or right under 6 foot. So the belief is that Bryce Young is just going to be he's going to be really small. And not small necessarily like Kyler Murray, short, because he's taller than Kyler Murray. Remember, Kyler Murray grew like an inch and a half right before the combine. Smart for him, because he actually ended up, guaranteeing himself to be the number 1 overall pick. But for Bryce Young, the concern is that he's going to be too slight. I saw a great stat from Dane Brugler. This is a great stat. Of 301 quarterbacks drafted in the last 25 years, only 2 were under 6 foot and under 200 pounds. And neither one of those were drafted in the top 100.
No.
So it's very rare for a quarterback to be under 6 foot and under 200 pounds. But I still think he's the best quarterback in the draft.
I do, and I think he can
opinion.
put on the weight and go over 200 pretty easily as well.
But then if you want him to do that, is it going to affect his game? Because his suddenness is part of what makes him intriguing. He's one of the only players that gets compared, good or not, to an NBA player. Like Steph Curry is the comparison everybody's putting out there about him. He's a point guard. And I'm like, that's a good comparison, but it's not. It's football. It's a different game.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I'll say he throws the ball over the middle really well.
He does.
And that's usually your main concern of shorter guys is they can't see over the line.
Yes, true.
So if you're saying, hey, this guy's too short, then you go, but his over-the-middle passing numbers are better than a lot of guys who are 6'5", who have the advantage of being able to see everything over the line. And he's playing in Alabama that has a O-line that is NFL O-line.
And he's going up against NFL defensive linemen.
Yeah.
Like
so,
week after week.
And in practice.
And in practice.
So it's like the thing of if you go, well, yeah, if it's a D2 guy where you go, well, yeah, he's only 6 foot, and then his offensive linemen are all short, then yeah, maybe you can see over it. But it's Alabama.
It's Alabama. They
have professional offensive linemen.
Produce more NFL players than any other program.
Yeah.
So I know I do not subscribe to that stuff. I think it's silly season. It's scouting season.
Yeah.
And a scout's job is to find out what's wrong with a player.
Well, and it's
not
also
what's right with the player. And that's why now we get the critical thoughts about players.
It's also misinformation season as well.
Also true.
Everyone throwing out smoke screens and everything else of, oh man, if I were you, I'd let him drop to us.
Which is basically what they're trying to say. But listen, the philosophy I do subscribe to is Bill Walsh, the late great Bill Walsh. Very few people can coach the quarterback, and even fewer can evaluate them. It's always been true. And my take is the NFL, and I think the NFL is changing, but we'll find out this silly season if they are truly changing their really just kind of antiquated belief system about the quarterback position. And the best way I can frame it is the NFL has tried its best to turn quarterback evaluation and scouting into a science. And not just an inexact science. They want to make it a science. And the key with science is built on, a systematic, enterprise of principles organized that you can replicate. That's the whole point of it. That's why science experiments, they give you the same result over and over again. Like you add this element with this element, you're going to get this. That's science. They want that to be the case with quarterbacks. He's got hand size like this. He's this tall, got this weight. The velo is this. He runs this 40. They want to be able to add up all these data points and go, see, this many data points equals a really good quarterback. Quarterback evaluation, the great Bill Walsh understood this. Quarterback evaluation is more of an art form than it is a science. And an art form is a diverse range of different activities. And we have no idea what ends up provoking us, what art ends up provoking us, whether it be, a painting or whether it be a song or whether it be a TV show. Hell, it could be anything. Art is meant to provoke. The evaluation is more of an art form, and coaches hate that. Because that means they don't ultimately have control, and they really cannot predict and replicate the same results of, this quarterback was successful because he did this, this, and this, and he fit this criteria. That doesn't matter. And I think that's why you're starting to get quarterbacks that shatter those old molds. Like the NFL has never been more diverse when it comes to quarterback skill sets, ever. You've never seen the NFL look this diverse at quarterback. They got all types, all ranges, shapes, sizes. Right, where he's from your Lamar Jackson to your Tom Brady just retired. Tom Brady's actually maybe the last of the Mohicans of the statues in the pocket. He may have been the last. Like no quarterbacks are designed that way anymore. They all have functional mobility. They all can run, and they all just so very different. You're Jalen Hurts, you're Lamar Jackson, you're Kyler Murray, you're Daniel Jones, you're Josh Allen, you're Patrick Mahomes. They've never just their skill sets alone have never looked more different. And I think it's really good for the game because now everybody understands there are different ways to play the quarterback position, not just one way, and not just one way to evaluate it either. Yeah.
Well, and that makes the league better because it means you're building different teams that have different offensive linemen with different skill sets and different wide receivers with different skill sets and tight ends, and it makes you be able to fill more full rosters because when everybody's trying to put together the same roster, there's only so many people, and so the competitiveness can die down in the league because if one team has 11 starters that are all good, that means someone else probably has 7, someone else has 3, and then you can build your defenses. Or what are we trying to stop? Are we trying to stop this type of quarterback or this
Great
type
point.
of quarterback?
Yeah, that's why.
And it just makes
I like
the league, the balance of the league, a little bit more when you have more quarterbacks like that.
I totally agree. And it honestly makes life. Honestly, what the NFL wants. And this year, it really hadn't been the case, but I do think it favors offense. It's harder to build defenses when I have to face 4 or 5 different types of skill sets at quarterback every season. And now I have to have a quarterback on my roster in practice who can provide me a dual threat element. If my quarterback is just a quarterback who has functional ability, I got to have somebody on my roster or practice squad that can replicate or simulate a Lamar Jackson, a Kyler Murray, a Josh Allen, a Daniel Jones. Because if not, the first time my defense sees it is in the game, we going to get torched. A Justin Fields. Like, you got to have – so I totally agree with you. I think it even changes how you have to build and construct a roster, just because the diversity at the quarterback position. So it's good. And Bryce Young will be another. Like I said, you've only got, of the 301 quarterbacks drafted in the last 25 years, only 2 were under 6 foot and under 200 pounds. He's going to be a first starting quarterback that's that size and that frame.
And let's be clear. I will tell you, Bryce Young at the combine will probably be over 200 pounds.
Yeah, because, same thing with
Kyler
Kyler
when he
Murray.
shows up day one, he may be back under 200 pounds. But they can put on weight before the combine and take weight back off.
You can.
And then he just won't run a 40. And those be like those little things we'll just take off that we won't do. But he can put on a couple pounds. I think it was Ryan Leaf had the story about not wanting to get drafted as somebody. And they told him to – so he was like, before the draft, they're like, hey, they like you, but they think you're too heavy. And so he was like, I don't want to go there. So he just ate nonstop before the combine so he could put on more weight so they wouldn't draft him.
Well, he did them a favor.
And it was this whole thing of trying to but no, and then they ended up going into it and he was like the intel they got was wrong and they still drafted him.
Oh, really?
Actually, I'm sorry, this wasn't right. This is Charles Barkley. I don't know why I thought it was Ryan Leaf. It was Charles Barkley, the Philadelphia 76ers. He didn't want to go there
that makes sense for Charles
because
Barkley.
he said they were not going to pay him. Now I'm remembering the story. But they weren't going to pay the rumor was they were not going to pay him enough money, so he didn't want to go there. So before the draft and before they looked at him, he put on a bunch of weight so that he could be – so they wouldn't want to take him because he thought he wasn't going to get the contract he wanted. And then they drafted him anyway, and they gave him the contract he wanted, so he was fine.
And he got to eat a lot of food.
But that was still Philly Charles Barkley, so he was skinny then. He was skinnier for Charles.
Yeah, okay, so I didn't get to my Longhorn topic, so I'll do that next segment instead of off the rail. We'll get some Longhorn football conversation in. All of that and more right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Hey, what's up, folks? Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers here. Let me tell you about my friends over at Ironworkers Local UN 482. We know Austin is a beautiful city, a magnificent city, thanks in no small part to the skilled craftsmanship of Ironworkers Local UN 482. They've been helping shape Greater Austin since 1935. You see the labors of the love all over this great city. Look at DKR Stadium and the Pennybacker Bridge. So as the city continues to grow and thrive, so does Ironworkers Local UN 482. They don't go to the office, they build it. So if you're looking for an exciting new career, you can become a member of Ironworkers Local 482 and accept the challenge of becoming the best version of yourself while helping shape Austin's economic development. So Ironworkers Local UN 482 are hiring 3,000 people right now. They got a big project going on here in Central Texas, and you can become a member of Ironworkers Local UN 482. We're talking about pension. We're talking about benefits. And we're talking about a competitive pay as well. And that's why they've been around for so long. That's why they're growing. That's why they're thriving. And you can be a part of Ironworkers Local UN 482. Just go to ironworkers482.org. That's ironworkers482.org. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams from very talented human beings that you can jam right here and get a chance to see live right here in the ATX, the live music capital of the world. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Brody Lane, and they are playing tonight at the Mill Bar and Grill.
Hey, I know those guys.
They might be in the neighborhood as well.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to Brody Lane. There you go, man. Like that. All right, if you missed any of these suggestions from our man Patrick for 512 Friday, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch them there. All right, I want to give you a little nugget. I won't give you too much, but I'm starting to do spring football deep dives already, doing some rabbit holing for you folks. And I saw at Horns 24/7, shout out to those folks, that JT Sanders in the offseason is taking on like a leadership role. He's basically taking ownership of this offense. And I believe it's him and kind of Kelvin Banks is what I've been hearing are the two guys stepping up. Kelvin Banks is a sophomore, but he's already one of the best players in the country. So is JT Sanders, by the way. Talking about the best tight end in the Big 12. And him stepping up and taking ownership of the offense and taking on leadership role is important because you lost your best leader in Rojo and you lost your best player in Bijan Robinson. Both of those guys are gone. So you got to replace them. And Quinn, I love Quinn Ewers. I think he's great. Glad he cut off the mullet, got the clean cut hair. But he's not a vocal leader, and we've kind of talked about that already, too. You need someone that's going to step up, hold us accountable. And, yes, that vocal leadership is needed. That's why last year it was Rojo doing it. Because that was a void. And Rojo was like, well, you know what? I'll do it. I was a quarterback. I'm kind of used to it. I can do that. And so I like that fact. And I was just doing research about 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. And the 12 personnel grouping was way more effective this year because of JT Sanders' ascent as a tight end. And I'm expecting him to take a huge leap this year. Remember, he just learned how to play the position. Before that, he's just an athlete playing wide receiver, playing whatever they wanted to play, and took a year basically as a freshman to learn the tight end position. And last year just had a hell of a breakout season. And you could argue that he was underutilized. So I went and looked at 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends. This is Sark's first season, and some of the numbers. The run rate was way too high. You were running damn near 69% of the time out of 1 back, 2 tight ends, 12 personnel. That number drops around 62% of the time in 12 personnel, which is really good. You should be throwing more, especially since you got a target in JT Sanders to do it with. The numbers that really stood out, though, were the passing numbers. The rushing numbers, they improved, too. You were averaging 5.59 yards per rush out of 12 personnel in 2021. And in 2022, you were at 6 yards per rush. In true 12 personnel, which is good. But the passing numbers improved tremendously. 12 personnel, the passing numbers in 2021, you're at 7 yards per attempt. That number in 2022 rose to 9.2 yards per attempt. Talking about over a 2-yard difference from year to year in your yards per attempt out of 1 back, 2 tight ends. And if you go look at the completion percentage, completion percentage was 68%, and now you're at 70%. So 68% 2021, 70%. Not that much, not a huge difference, but still an improvement. But the explosive play rate is what I really look at in this true 12 personnel, and I think that's a direct reflection of JT Sanders and how talented he is. Explosive plays being a rush of at least 10 yards and a reception of at least 15 yards. You had over a 20% explosive play rate out of your true 12 personnel set. That's pretty damn good. The only other personnel grouping that had a higher explosive play rate was 21 personnel. 2 backs, 1 tight end, which you guys know nobody's been advocating for more 21 personnel in the last 5 years, multiple head coaches than moi. I saw that. I figured that'd be something that would track, and that something that was still, even though you had a different offense, you had so much talent in the backfield that would still be your most effective, if not one of your most effective personnel groupings. But 12 personnel, just true 12, it does show you that and Sark loves it, by the way, 40% of your usage from 2021 was 12 personnel, and that was 27% in 2022. The only reason for the drop was you used a lot of the 6-0 line package, and that what I used to call the Big 12 package. That was their other offensive lineman, and that was essentially their de facto tight end. So if you add those numbers up, he's still hovering around a little over 40% of 12 personnel package with multiple tight ends. So he wants to use it a lot, and they should be even more effective this year when utilizing 12 personnel. But it's an explosive personnel grouping for him now, and they're more effective passing out of it now, and they pass more out of it now. That's all because of JT Sanders. All right, we come back. NBA All-Star Weekend preview on the other side right here on Ball Don't Lie, 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. It is a 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. We play jams I don't know why I said that, jams from very talented human beings. Hopefully they reach the top of the Billboard charts one day. But jams that you may be able to hear live right here in the ATX. Who are we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Favor. They are playing Sunday at Mohawk.
I know what Mohawk is.
Some young guys in this band.
Nice. I like that. Is Mohawk still the same old Mohawk? It hasn't changed places. A lot of these spots have changed.
No, they have not changed places.
Same old Mohawk? Okay.
Same old Mohawk.
I'm old, so I hadn't been there in a while, but I'm just saying I used to go to Mohawk back in the day. All right, my man Patrick, always doing a great job. 512 Friday. If you missed any of the song selections or suggestions, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them there. All right, I know my man Patrick's excited about this weekend because it's All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend. I know a few people that love the NBA as much as Patrick, but not many. I know a couple. My man Matt Butler's a big NBA guy. He watches Summer League.
I want you. Summer League's good.
How
else are you going to know how these young rookies are going to play?
He has like Summer League fantasy, I think. Oh.
Yeah, I did not do fantasy on Summer League. I don't do fantasy in NBA either.
Yeah, he does.
There's too much upkeep on it.
Yeah, you're right. That's a job. And for him, I think he actually ends up cashing in a lot of time too. So it's a different.
I'm not as good at it. I don't want to do all this work to lose.
But I think you watch a ton of NBA, and this is I'm talking about all year long. I think I'm just starting to watch a lot of NBA because now a football season is officially done. NBA All-Star Weekend though, and the festivities they start up tonight. Got a celebrity game tonight. Do you ever watch that?
I've watched it before.
You don't care about that celebrity game.
Well, the thing was, when I was younger, I knew who the celebrities were.
That's a great point.
I don't know who they are anymore, so I don't watch it as much.
No. That is fair. That was one of my really one of my observations. I was like, I don't really know these people, and it's because I was gonna say I'm not cool anymore though.
No.
It's not their fault.
When I was young, I was like, oh, this is awesome. All of my favorite people, and then it got to like, oh, those are those new guys. I don't like them. To now, I'm like, I've never even heard the name.
Let's see, Ryan, the governor of Utah. So there you go. He's going to be in it. Ryan Smith. Kane Brown, 5-time American Music Award
heard the name.
winning country artist. Corday, he's a rapper.
I've never heard it.
I've never heard of him, actually. Diamond DeShields, Dallas Wings All-Star.
Okay, it's hockey, sorry.
We should know him. Calvin Johnson, we know him. Hall of Fame wide receiver. Marcus Mion, he's a Brazilian TV host. We obviously wouldn't know much about it. The Miz.
I know The Miz is.
We know The Miz. Albert Pujols.
I think The Miz at least used to live in Austin.
I think you're right about that.
I think he might have moved back to California.
Yeah.
He lived there for a while.
And wasn't he on Real World with KD?
Yeah.
Right? Back in the day?
Back in the day.
It's crazy. Albert Pujols. Everett Osborne. He is.
Can you imagine Albert Pujols trying to move on a basketball court?
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to. I kind of want to see it now.
I mean, like, I'm going to cross him over every time. And I'm not fast, but I feel like I could. Albert Pujols is probably taking some years on those.
Yeah, watch for the 3-second violation with Albert Pujols for some reason. Ozuna, the Puerto Rican singer and recording artist. Guillermo Rodriguez. Oh yeah, from Jimmy Kimmel Show.
Okay.
Who doubles as like the security guy. He's got the nice bit on there.
Not a basketball player, you would think.
Right? That's probably why it's going to be funny. Cinqua Walls. Apparently he's been in Teen Wolf and Friday Night Lights, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know him. Dwayne Wade's team is Dwayne Wade, Nicky Jam, a Latin American singer. Jesser, content creator. We're not going to know that guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Simi Liu is an actor. Best known for Marvel's.
I think I know who that is. I think that's the guy.
Yes, from Marvel's Shang-Chi and 10 Rings. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think I know who that is, but I don't.
I've seen that too.
I don't know who it is.
Hassan Minaj.
I do know. He's a comedian.
Yeah, there you go.
I know him.
Yeah, you know him really well. DK Metcalf's going to play. Janelle Monáe. Know her. She's really talented.
Really talented.
And Arik Ngambawale. I'm sure I screwed that up. He's a Dallas Wings player.
Okay.
21 Savage, rapper. Know him. Ranveer Singh. Ranveer Singh is an actor in Hindi films.
Okay.
In India. Francis Tiafoe is the 15th ranked men's tennis player in the world.
I do feel like in these old games there used to be
these people.
Like there used to be people that were like maybe I knew who the C celebrities were then, but I felt that they were more famous.
I think that's what it is. I think you were paying more attention to pop culture then. Now you're working.
So I knew. So like if the Soup Nazi was in it, I was like, Soup Nazi!
Exactly. And you've even admitted you don't watch a lot of television shows anymore.
No.
So you don't even,
I do want to see
shows.
DK Metcalf because I think that he could probably dunk from like a good distance out.
He's definitely gonna be trying to dunk.
Yeah,
Like, that's gonna be his
we know
goal.
he can dunk.
Yeah, we know he can dunk. But he's gonna be trying to dunk
no
any
one,
game.
no one looks like that. And he's got to be like 6'4". Like he's got to be able to dunk.
Hey man, they can fool you. Trust me.
Hey, man, you know Mark Henry could dunk.
No, he definitely can dunk. No,
Mark Henry could dunk.
He might
because
be
he's that strong and that athletic.
He might be doing like a windmill dunk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could be
freaky.
doing something.
Yeah, he's almost on the freaky. Okay, so that's they're having a crunch time game too, which is gonna be kind of weird. But they also have the Rising Stars Challenge, and they're going to basically break this up. It's a new format where it's a pool of 21 NBA players drafted onto 3 teams. So they're gonna have team Paul Gasol.
Yeah.
And a team Joakim Noah and a team Deron Williams.
Yes.
And they're breaking all those players up. So that's going to be kind of a new age thing.
Jeremy Sohan from the Spurs will be representing there.
Oh, there you go.
I know that Sohan will be on the teams.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, they got it's a ton of young guys here. I wouldn't read through the list, but I would just bore all the people. That's one of them. And they have the skills challenge, which we all know the skills challenge is part of the skills challenge in the 3-point contest and the dunk contest all happening on Saturday. And the skills challenge apparently is going to have the biggest change up. They're going to have 3 teams competing. One will be team Antetokounmpo's with the Antetokounmpo brothers.
Yes.
Giannis, Alex, and how you say his other brother's name?
Giannis.
Giannis.
I think it's like Giannis and Giannis.
Oh, Giannis. Oh,
I think is what
nice.
it is. Am I
like
wrong
that.
on that?
No,
The
no,
spelling
no.
looks right?
Yeah, I think you're right about. You definitely right about that. Another team is going to be Jordan. It's going to be current Jazz teammates. Wow. So the other team's just going to be Jazz teammates.
Well, it's in Utah.
Jordan Clarkson.
The All-Star game is in Salt Lake
Yeah.
City.
Well,
So they're just the guys that are there. Representing the fans there will know who they are. So.
And then the final team is like just a random rookie.
Yeah, it's the top 3 picks in the draft.
Oh, you're right. Paolo Banchero, Jaden Ivey, and Jabari Smith Jr.
Yes, so the top 3 picks in this year's draft.
Okay. So that's the skills challenge. And then, of course, the dunk contest. Kenyon Martin Jr., Trey Murphy III, Mac McClung from the 76ers, and Jericho Sims. Those are your dunk contestants.
Yes, Mac McClung played at Texas Tech, hit a game winner against Texas, and Jericho Sims, who played for Texas.
There you go.
And I will say Jericho Sims' 2-foot straight jumping is as good as I've ever seen. So he's not a 1-foot jumper.
Yeah.
Like most of these dunk contests really good dunkers are. He can be a 2-foot jumper, but he is a insanely good. Like I remember watching him rebound balls where you're like, it's absurd how high you're getting to rebound.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to get every rebound because you should just jump. If you jump at the right time, you'll just be higher. Your arms outstretched are higher than everyone.
And you'll
their arms
stay up for longer a period of time because you're just such a
crazy.
freakish athlete.
So I'll be excited to see him, see what he can do. And he's also just a guy who doesn't smile. So it's a weird event for him. Like he's just like maybe in New York now they've trained him to smile more, but in Texas I saw him smile probably 3 or 4 times, and every time he did, you could see he was mad. He smiled right after he did.
There's no way New York City is going to train you to smile more.
But no, the NBA they may have people to be like, "Hey man, we're trying to send you out on these."
Taking your endorsements.
Yeah, you're doing a signing, and everyone's like, "I think he's mad."
I think he didn't like me. Why? He didn't smile that one time.
No. But he's a good kid, so I'm excited to see him get this opportunity. I'll be curious to see if he does try and ham it up a little bit because he just was never that guy at Texas. He's just kind of straightforward, did his business.
But you say he's got the leaps for it though.
He's got the jump.
Yeah. So if he's got the boing for it, I mean that's what the dunk contest is about. Mac McClung is going to be interesting, and Kenyon Martin Jr. can jump too. So it might be a good dunk contest, and I've never really knocked the entertainment value of the dunk contest because it actually ends up being pretty entertaining. These guys take a lot of pride in it, and like Patrick just mentioned, man, they're just freaks. The only knock against the dunk contest is the lack of star power, and it's the decline gets worse and worse every year. Every year you're like, maybe somebody's going to enter the dunk contest that's a name brand NBA player, all-star caliber player.
Or someone that may be like Jalen Green. Jalen Green should be in it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the Rockets suck, but Jalen Green should be in it.
He should be in it. I'm with you.
Because he's a top pick. He's a guy who's supposed to be a star coming up in the league. And if Jalen Green's in it now and then he's an all-star in 2 years or 3 years, if the Rockets turn it around, then you're like, oh, remember Jalen Green did it, so you got to do it.
That's like I said. I hate to keep knocking down this this topic and beating this dead horse.
And what are they doing load management in Houston? There's no load management in Houston.
No, that definitely is not. Trust me, it's unwatchable basketball in Houston. I'm the only one watching. Me and a few other people.
I've started showing it to people as a gross because I watched enough of it
It's
that I
terrible.
would show I would watch highlights of it, which are low lights, and then I would have to go and I'd be sitting with friends and I'd be like, hey, let me put on this Rockets game. And I'll put it on League Pass and just wait for them to see a play and go, whoa, what was that? And you're like, that's 90% of their offense.
Wow. Yeah,
It's awful.
It's really bad, and they actually have too much talent to be as bad as they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel exactly what you're saying about the young players that should have been doing it before they become stars, and that's what the dunk contest should have become. But it started around LeBron's time that LeBron didn't do it, and it's not all his fault. LeBron's got other things going on. There are a lot of other contributing factors like load management. You just mentioned it, Patrick. That load management mindset's not helping out the dunk contest either. But now the young players believe that they're too good for the dunk contest, and it's not a rite of passage like it used to be for a Kobe, for an MJ. It was a rite of passage for young players. They believed, all right, this is something I got to check off the list of becoming a great player. And now they don't have to check it off the list. They don't even, it doesn't even register to the young stars of the NBA.
No.
So it's still, like I said, still entertaining because they end up having some really creative dunks, but it just lacks the star power. It really does. It reminds me of what SNL used to be. How SNL, you go back and look at it. You said you was watching an old dunk contest earlier this week, Patrick, and I compared it to it's like watching those old SNL reruns where there's Dan Aykroyd and your Johnny Belushi's and your Eddie Murphy's and your Chris Farley's and your Will Ferrell's and Phil Hartman. I mean, it goes on and on. I just start naming people, just superstars and just elite comedic talent. And not the comedians right now are bad. They're not bad, but they're not elite talents like those guys were. Or gals were back then. And to me, that reminds me of what the dunk contest has become. It's basically what SNL has become. Still somewhat entertaining, but definitely lacking the star power.
Still good for the kids.
Well, with your kids, you ain't got no kids watching SNL. Yeah, it probably still is good for the kids. I don't know. Every now and then I watch it, but like the dunk contest, every now and then I'll watch it, and maybe I will this year. I probably will because Jericho Sims is in it, so I'm looking forward to that. The 3-point contest, which has become more of the kind of superstar event in the NBA All-Star Weekend. They're going to have Damian Lillard's probably the biggest star in it. Jason Tatum, also another big star in it as well. Tyler Herro's going to play in it. Compete in it. Buddy Hield, Kevin Huerter from Sacramento. Tyrese Halliburton as well. And Anthony Simons of Portland.
Anthony Simmons, yes.
And Laurie Markkanen.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Utah.
Okay. Yeah. Hometown.
He was having a great season this year for Utah. Came out of that Cleveland trade, and he was a throw-in for salary, and has turned out to be a really good player this year. Okay. So he's actually an all-star this year, even though he was thrown in as a salary cap dump in that Donovan Mitchell trade.
Yeah.
And he's turned out to be an all-star this year. It was just he was playing really poorly on the Cavs.
Well. Yeah, I know, which is crazy because the Cavs are
what they're doing better now.
It was
He explained it in an interview that he basically was so worried about because he gotten a contract. He was so worried about living up to his contract that he was in his own head so much that he couldn't shoot anymore. And by the time they traded him off, he was like, "Well, screw everything. I'm just going to play basketball," and he got good again.
Yeah, it turns out, without the pressure, It does a lot changes, guys. So why pressure of the playoffs. We see players change a lot too. Okay, and the All-Star rosters, Giannis, Kyrie Irving for the Eastern Conference. Donovan. Well, I guess now Kyrie actually is on the Western side of things. But not that it matters. I think they end up doing a draft anyway. Still do the draft, right? Sunday?
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, they used to do the draft beforehand, I believe.
Now they do it the day of?
Yeah, they're doing it the day of.
Like right before the game?
They're trying to make it a bigger thing.
Oh, like the draft part of the game itself.
I think they're trying to make it that.
Yeah, because it used to be a nighttime thing where they would have them on like with
TNT.
Charles Barkley and the guys. Okay, that makes sense. All right, so you'll have the draft to sort out who the Eastern Conference and Western Conference teams are. So All-Star Weekend coming up this weekend, a little primer for you. All right, we come back. We got to get into a preview of Texas basketball versus Oklahoma. We got one more segment left, and then we'll give you up for Texas baseball with Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns. Be right back. This is Ball Don't Lie on 104.9 The Horn. Welcome back to Ball Don't Lie right here on 104.9 The Horn. 512 Friday edition of Ball Don't Lie. That's when we play jams from very talented human beings that you can catch live right here in the ATX. Who we jamming right now, Patrick?
This is Jake Lloyd. He is going to be playing Sunday at Hotel Vegas.
Oh, nice. I like that. If you missed any part of any of the suggestions of 512 Friday, you can go catch them right there at hornfm.com. Made it easy for you. We're going to talk some Texas basketball here because they got a big game coming up versus Oklahoma tomorrow. As a matter of fact, my man Patrick's going to have a front row seat today. He's got to work, but still, he'll be multitasking. We're off a little bit early. This is our last segment. We'll give you up for Texas baseball coming up 6:45. Craig Way will be on the call there. So Texas baseball action, so you don't want to go anywhere. But let's talk some Texas basketball before we get out of here. They got a big game coming up. Oh, before we talk about the game they got coming up, good news for Texas basketball. Brock Cunningham's coming back again for another year.
Yeah, you know he's not going anywhere. Dude, he's getting free school.
He's
Brock is a smart guy who is using this to get all his degrees, get everything he can. He's like, let me stay here. I'm going to be a legend in Texas basketball because I'm going to stick around and be a part of some really good teams.
Might as well.
And
if they're going to pay for it.
And they're paying for my schooling?
I know. Well, he's got to be working on the master's.
He's already graduated, I think. I think he graduated maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, he might be close to finishing the master's.
But I know he's already
on something else.
Yeah, I know he's already graduated. So
yeah, good for him, man. So he's coming back. That was something that was announced yesterday, or at least he announced it yesterday. But getting to this game versus Oklahoma, one of the things that we have bragged about and complimented this team on, Patrick, is the fact that they bounce back really well. They're a resilient group. Things that end up, losing them games and ended up maybe losing them that game versus Tech. We haven't seen those same issues haunt them to the extent where they end up having back-to-back losses. They'll be trying to avoid that versus Oklahoma. Some Texas fans, based on the way the schedule is going to play out over the next 5 games and considering the state of Oklahoma basketball, they're considering this a must-win that you got, and you just came off a loss. That this is a must-win. People just throwing it out there. But I think you're right when you start looking at it. This is a game you can't afford to lose. Maybe that's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Maybe it ain't a must-win, but you can't afford to lose it.
Well, no, you got to hit the panic button if you lose this game just because of who Oklahoma is. And they're not a terrible team. No one in the Big 12 is. But they haven't won a road game since Texas Tech in early January. Wow. This is not – so as much as they're not even a great team, they're way worse away from home. And so you're playing at – one of the better arenas in college basketball now in the Moody Center. You're playing against a rival. You coming off a loss. Everything is pointing to you coming in here and handling business.
Bouncing back.
You just have to make sure they're going to try and shoot threes on you. They're going to try and, someone's going to try and go off on you. You have to be able to stop that. And you have to get your offense going. But this is more for me. I want to see them out-rebound Oklahoma. I want to see them start better than they've been starting. This is about fixing problems more than just straight up winning against Oklahoma. You need to fix problems and come out and go, you know what? That was a fluke against Tech.
Mm-hmm.
We are a better team than that. We're not going to play down to their level. We are going to go play our game and go win.
Yeah, the biggest issue would be, if you don't want to call it a slow start or a sluggish start, maybe just hoping that they have a more crisp, polished start to the basketball game. They don't beat themselves with either turnovers or with poor defensive execution. Yeah. So I think those are two of the things that have haunted them early on in games. And once they get the deficit, which they did in the Tech game, and by the way, they battled back, ended up tying the game, I think, at 64. I think they expend so much energy battling back from that deficit that it's hard to close out in clutch time, especially in the Big 12, the toughest league in the country. It's hard to do.
Yeah, it's you just don't want to get yourself down against some of these good teams, and you especially don't want to get yourself down as you get into the Big 12 tournament and you get into the NCAA tournament. So this is really this is it. You have this, and then to try and help fix your team before you start playing. And I get Oklahoma just beat a K-State team that is struggling a little bit more now down the end of the stretch.
Beat them by double digits.
But it's at Oklahoma. They went and they beat the number 1 team in the country, Alabama, earlier this year as well. That's, again, we already talked about the SEC Big 12 Challenge, and there was some officiating differences between the conferences that showed up during that challenge. But this is a game like you're better than them. You're just flat out from 1 through 5 a better team than Oklahoma. So you need to go out there and play like 1 through 5. You are a better team. I mean, well, we can say 1 through 6 because Jabari Rice will put in there as 2.
Yeah, I agree with that. No question. You're going to need him to have a bounce-back performance. He got in foul trouble early in that Tech game, really threw him off, and he's probably been the best sixth man in the conference, one of the best sixth men in the country, and Texas really needs, that spark that he brings. To your point, though, Patrick, it's been feast or famine for the Sooners this year, and probably more famine than feast. They had that 24-point win over Alabama that you just referenced. They did have the double-digit win most recently on Tuesday over K-State, but 3-10 in Big 12 play. And how about this? They're last in the conference in offensive efficiency, offensive rebounding percentage, and free throw rate, and which are all areas where Texas kind of struggles, defensively, I guess you could throw that out there, offensive rebounding rate, but you don't have to worry about that with Oklahoma because they're not a great offensive rebounding team, and they're just not very efficient offensively. So everything you said, Texas should win this game.
But this is where you need to win it, but win it in a way where it's like, again, you need to out-rebound Oklahoma because you should be able to. So not winning it on just, hey, yeah, we're just going to beat them because we're better. Hey, you need to win it not by coming back when you're down, start off the game 0-8. It's 0-8, and then all of a sudden you put up 16 in a row, and they go, well, it's not a slow start. You were ahead 16-8. No, it was slow because, once again, you came out, and it took you a while to figure out that defense and the better teams you play against. It's just it always takes something out of you to come back in a game.
Yeah, and the last game they played against Texas, you talked about it, they were on the road in Norman, but Texas barely pulled it out, 70-69. Marcus Carr, go-ahead jumper to save the day for Texas, and Texas gave up a lot of offensive rebounds in that matchup. I think there was like 12 offensive rebounds.
Now, that one also, I think, that was right after Chris Beard news.
Oh,
that was
true.
right near the
Good
Chris
point.
Beard news. It was on New Year's Eve, an early game. There was a lot of distractions happening in that game. This is a different team than it was then. So I don't even think we can look at that one too much. It was not a great game from Texas the last time they played Oklahoma. But you can come out now and you're a better team than you were then. You're a different team than you were then. So you need to go out there and show that.
Yeah, Oklahoma also has been struggling to defend in transition. Texas is so athletic. That's something Texas can really take advantage of. I believe if you look at points per possession in transition, points per possession allowed in transition, they're 305th in the country. And Texas needs to get out and run. Because Texas is one of the best transition teams, which makes sense in the country because they got guard play and they're really athletic. That's something they really got to take advantage of versus Oklahoma. Man, yeah, Oklahoma, the more you look at it, yeah, they're just, I don't want to say they're a bad team because there are no bad teams in the Big 12, but they are one of the worst teams in the Big 12. So I ain't going to call them a bad team. They're definitely one of the worst teams in the Big 12. And Texas should take care of business. They're last in turnover percentage, and they rank third to last in defensive rebounding percentage. So that's also something for Texas that's been an issue, but against Oklahoma, Texas really doesn't have to worry about them being a beast on the boards either.
Yeah. No, I mean, and they've been able to, they have a couple of big guys they can put in there. Texas has been able to get them in foul trouble for the most part and keep them, not as effective. So this is not something that I'm super worried about, but it is. You do have to come out there and not look past it. You can't say, hey, man, we got another game here on Tuesday. We got to get ready for Iowa State.
Yeah.
You need to come in and be prepared to play an Oklahoma team. And then we all get to hopefully just enjoy the fact that there is a Bijan from Oklahoma that's not as good as our Bijan.
Of course, the Oklahoma Bijan's not as cool as the Texas Bijan.
No.
I mean, is his hair as cool as Bijan's?
Oh, well, Bijan Cortez has that long flowing hair on a basketball court, which is always surprising to see.
No, the hairstyles in college basketball are just unbelievable. Now, they're insane. Like, nobody has a traditional conservative cut, no matter what ethnicity they are or whatever, in college basketball anymore. That's just it's a regular taper fade. That's considered being a loser or something.
Yes, Bijan Cortez, it gets compared to a young Keanu Reeves a lot.
Well, hey, Keanu Reeves is considered a hottie as an old man. He's like a little
but the
random
young Keanu
sex
Reeves.
symbol.
That was the thing.
Yeah,
the
you're
young
right.
Keanu
Old Keanu Reeves is a sex symbol. Young Keanu Reeves was not a sex symbol.
was Bill and Ted.
Yeah, that's a great point there. Great point. All right, so Texas, 5 games remaining. They still have to play road games against Baylor and TCU. They're going to host Iowa State and Kansas, so this is one game they cannot afford to lose. If you missed any part of any of the shows, please go to hornfm.com and you can catch up with them on the podcast page. My man Harge wasn't with us, but go to his Twitter account at HardballHarge if you want to follow along what he's doing, the broadcast work he's going to be doing this weekend with Flow Baseball. Just go check him out at Hardball Hodge, and you can catch him up there. Hardball Hodge. I don't know why I said that way. Hodge. Hardball Hodge. And thanks to my man Patrick as well. What you got on tap? You working? That's what you got on tap. Huh?
I got working tomorrow, watching All-Star Weekend.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
you
right.
know.
You're loving this now.
Hey man, and then
basketball season.
I might even turn on the Daytona 500 this weekend. Because there's a Guns N' Roses car, and I want to see Guns N' Roses car win.
You know what? That's something we'll do. On Monday, we will talk about the Daytona 500. I promise you, we'll squeeze it in there somehow. I want to thank my man Pat for doing a great job, and thank you guys out there for listening. Remember, the revolution will not be televised. Talk about it right here on Ball Don't Lie. We love you guys. We mean that. Take care of yourselves, but more importantly, take care of each other. Texas baseball coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Craig Wade, the voice of the Longhorns, on the call. Peace.